Well, we're 5 minutes late. Ashley has been doing a bang-up job of covering E3 for us here on the Popcast Network. Videos upcoming throughout the rest of the week. And I got pyro coming from literal behind me. You can probably partially hear it too. So that means only one thing. We're going to talk Dominion tonight. Welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast, exclusively here on the Popcast Network. This is the show I care to talk about every single week. My name is Owen. This is Ashley, and we're going to talk all things professional wrestling and other avenues of combat sports tonight as well. Because of some big news that just dropped just a few minutes ago.
Oh, it was that quick? Oh,
It's been about an hour, actually.
Well, I've been away from Twitter because I've been watching.
Yeah.
I've been watching wrestling, so.
I have as well, but the thing about it is you have to look at the fact that I don't really leave Twitter up whenever I'm watching NXT or when I'm watching wrestling in general, unless something is going on like drastic, or if John Murdy or Mike Aiello are at it with some sort of Horror Nights updates. That's the only times that I'm really like tuned into Twitter. So, do you want to just start with? Do you want to start with that since this doesn't really fit in anything, or do you want to just add that into our UFC talk later tonight?
I'm just getting distracted by the news that Danny Elfman's scoring bloody Justice League. That's what happens when happens when Hans Zimmer, I guess, goes nope.
I mean, do you want to talk? Do you want to talk about this now, or do you want to save it till later?
I mean,
this is breaking news, quite literally. We're one of the first avenues to be able to discuss it, at least in a podcast format.
We might as well because depending, we may even do, as long as we're careful with sound and everything, we might just for the shit of it actually do a live sort of alternative play-by-play, because I don't want to say we're better than Mauro Ranallo, which is somewhat of a news in itself. But
I can call wrestling. I don't think I can call boxing.
I know you've watched it when, what was the last one? I guess when Brock was fighting in the MMA stuff, which is technically not the same, but
yeah, I've watched most of Brock's UFC stuff. Boxing wise, God, I think the last thing I watched was stuff involving Tyson.
well, might as well do stuff the first time. Hang on, let me get to the notes. That's that. So yeah, it actually all started Monday, really, because Dan Raphael from ESPN said that Floyd Mayweather was requesting August 26th as a date for the fight with McGregor. They're originally going to request a date for an unspecified event from the Nevada State Athletic Commission today, but apparently that got pulled off the agenda. And the formal agreement as of Monday hadn't been made public. And they wanted T-Mobile Arena as opposed to the MGM Grand, because although MGM Grand's got the history, T-Mobile Arena's got the numbers. Yes, the pyro agrees. So, it's been going for a while. And now Yeah, Floyd Mayweather tweeted. Let me have a look. Oh, a few hours ago, actually. 10:36 my time, so that would have been about 3 hours ago, give or take. On Showtime pay-per-view. So I don't know what pay-per-view broadcast it'll be on over here. Mayweather McGregor is happening. Hang on, I'm going to play the video. August 26, 2007. Doesn't say the venue, though. Good job, Floyd. Good job. Yeah, coming out of retirement, I guess, to try and get 50-0. Who knows? Yeah, Rose basically just announced that he's going to be doing commentary on it, just like he did the commentary on the classic Joshua versus Klitschko fight from last month or a couple of months back. And yeah, just looking at the UFC coverage provider over here in the UK, BT Sport, they've tweeted it is the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. And almost as somebody else notes, 4 years ago, Conor made $16,000 for his first UFC fight.
Oh, God.
I guess because it was in Vegas or New York or whatever, where you have to disclose sort of fight pay.
Yeah, of course.
August 26th, depending, I guess, as well on ticket but attendance and pay-per-view buys, he stands to make $100 million in one fight.
I'm telling you. I mean, he's basically like he's a consummate businessman right now. He wants the money. And I get that. I totally get that. Because if I was in his situation, I'd jump at this chance too. Plus, he's got a chance of shutting Floyd Mayweather up.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Ashley, can he take Floyd Mayweather in a straight up boxing match?
That's what I am interested in. Because obviously the closest thing that I can think of regarding him and whether he can go all out brawl would be Nate Diaz.
Okay, that makes sense.
And of course, the first fight that they had, Nate pretty much pounded him and just knocked him out. Admittedly, when they had the rematch at the same weight, he won it and outclassed Diaz. So I don't know whether it was over preparation that for the first fight or under preparation or whatever, but I think he's gonna. I mean, if you're going to make somebody look bad, you are gonna want to prepare the shit out of it. Because remember, this guy was retired with a perfect record,
Right.
and you know, it's just like Undertaker when everybody said he should retire at 20-0. I
Okay.
always thought that Mayweather should retire at 50-0. He never did because the fights that people wanted to see are against people that would beat him. So he was sort of like, nope. And um, the fights that he was trying to get, which were sort of arguably relatively easier fights for him, I wouldn't say walk in the park things, but if you look at the last two fights that he did, he pretty much won them like 118 or 119. You know, he basically only dropped like perhaps one or two rounds, let's say.
Right.
So it really wasn't showcasing sort of the best of him. I think he's still confident enough, but Connor, coming from a separate discipline, boxer, even though obviously you can use pretty effective boxing techniques in order to actually get a win in UFC, especially because if you look at some of the the giant knockouts that have happened, they've normally been from punches. Okay, sometimes it's been kicks and whatever, but mainly punches on the whole. So I mean, the thing is though, I'm wondering who gets the win out of this, because if it's obviously been set up through Dana's production stuff, and it's technically, UFC's baby, even though it's going to be shown on a pay-per-view and stuff because of Mayweather's clout. But it may actually be sort of a UFC production. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. It's it's going to be interesting. I think is that the week of SummerSlam or the week before?
So that would, well, usually SummerSlam historically has been that time, but and the SummerSlam I went to in Pittsburgh back in 1995 was at that time. But I think this year it's the week. It might be the week prior. Let me check to make sure.
I think it
It is the 21st. Yeah, it's August. No, I read it wrong. Yeah, it's the 20th. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if Sunday was the 20th, I was gonna go. What, they're doing this pay-per-view on a Friday?
Welcome, Pedro. No, the 19th is going to be Takeover Brooklyn, and then the 20th will be SummerSlam. So it's the week after. So UFC is not going up against WWE that week. Well, I guess you would say, what is it referred to now as? It's just regular, like, WBC. Is it still WBC now? Or what is this? What is this called?
It's boxing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the poster. It said Showtime pay-per-view.
It's a goddamn super fight.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, in terms of the boxing, there's God knows how many boards. There's the WBO, I think, WBA, WBC, IBF.
I know
There's
most of
loads of
those.
ones. But this, because there's no belts on the line, because obviously, he bloody retired Mayweather. There's nothing up for grabs. Connor's come from a different. I don't think this is going to be for the UFC belts.
Probably not.
Considering it's not under UFC rules, because obviously there ain't going to be any kicking to the head in this one, unless it goes wrong. And I haven't even got the story of this, but I might as well bring it up here properly. I think it was Glory Kickboxing this week. They had a fight. I think it was somewhere. It might have been Asia. It may not have been. All I remember is I think it sounded like bloody what's his name? Todd, that used to be on WWE.
Todd Grisham?
Todd Grisham doing it. It sounded like him anyway.
Interesting.
The two guys were fighting, and I don't want to say it was black guy versus white guy, but that's all I remember from it because I don't remember the names.
Right.
And black guy just got a really nice punch, and the crowd reacted to it. White guy just basically took the punch and then walked away and turned to his corner. Despite the fact we were like midway through the round, we were nowhere near actually nowhere near the fight being finished for the round. So of course, black guy just notices this, and it's like, defend yourself at all times, and he just whacks him, and he just goes down like a sack of potatoes, and the referee calls it off, I guess, for a win in his favor. Although I've seen fights like that happen, and because of the context of it and everything, it's been given as you've been disqualified for an illegal action. Then
Right.
again, because he just turned away and just during the middle of the fight, I think it probably would be considered illegal. Either way, he's won. He's beginning to celebrate, and literally 2 or 3 people jump into the ring from the crowd and start beating the shit out of the black guy
Oh God.
because of the way that he knocked him out and everything. It was, I mean, it was sort of funny to look at, but I don't think that'll happen. I think there might be better security in Vegas so that something like this doesn't happen. But I could sense something like that could happen because, you know, Connor's controversial and Floyd likes as much publicity as he can. So, to quote Apollo Creed in Rocky 2, ding, ding. Let's see how the shit goes.
Yeah, indeed.
What we are only about 8, 9 weeks away from that now.
Good Lord, that's not that long.
So
I mean,
yeah,
by the time we get this, by the time we get SummerSlam Takeover, and then Floyd and Connor, we're gonna know everything about Halloween Horror Nights too. So it's gonna be a really great time.
it's gonna be congested as fuck.
Oh God, I'm sensing another long pop weekend.
Well, I don't think. Well, we ain't gonna make it go every day for like. We're not gonna make it go every day over the whole week in the build up to the fight. I don't think we're gonna do that. We're not that crazy yet.
Not as crazy as you think, Pedro. I'll put it that way.
I'm just. I still don't even know whether. I mean, I'm guessing Sky are gonna want to show the fight over here in the UK. I'm
Probably.
hoping it's another provider because then I might be able to see it for free. Then again, I doubt that will happen because obviously they're going to want to make money off pay-per-views, and they can't really do that if people are getting the channel for nothing because of the internet provider that they have, or they're only paying so much a month. So I'd have thought it would be on Sky in terms of the stuff. But we'll see how
Possible.
it develops. Obviously, because we're only in a few hours, the bidding wars will probably begin at least on the international markets for who's going to be providing the pay-per-view coverage,
Yes.
unless it is here. Hang on.
I mean, it's saying Showtime, so I don't think it's pay per view.
Well, Showtime pay-per-view would be.
So it's through Showtime, but it's still pay-per-view.
Yeah. 500 million pound mega fight. Which means it's in the region of $500 million.
Good Lord. This is a big deal. This has been something that they've been talking about for a while now.
Oh, definitely.
And longtime fans really want to see this.
Oh, it's always been that nobody from boxing, other than in the old days of UFC, when you actually had different styles actually go into the octagon and fight. You haven't really had sort of a comparison of, is it now? Is it not? And August, we're going to actually properly find out, it seems.
And the world, quite literally, will be watching.
Yeah, this is the closest thing here to rival it. I would probably argue would be when Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, and that was like a 400,000 $1 million sort of super fight thing. Who knows?
It's going to be wild. But yeah, that's breaking news. So now we can properly start. So on tonight's show, we've got Smackdown and 205 Live. If anybody still gives it, you get it, Pedro. Impact, Lucha Underground, WCPW, more UFC, NXT, Ring of Honor. We're going to talk Dominion and all the awesome news coming out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. News and rumors of the professional wrestling world, results from around the globe. So sit back, relax, get a soda, and enjoy another edition of the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast. Oh, by the way, this is a pay-per-view weekend. Just want to throw that out there for those of you that don't remember that it's a pay-per-view weekend.
Just looking at it, the announcement's been that short notice. The UK media is expecting a bidding war to start up between BT and Sky in terms of who's going to get the pay-per-view rights.
100% agreed.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did go to Sky, but if it was BT, I might actually be able to watch it legally for free rather than illegally for free. So no pressure, Floyd. Have one guy watch it legally, at least. Please. Go to the right one. Don't go to Rupert Murdoch's company or whatever. Please. Please. Anyway. As I try and get this call actually working on the computer so I can play Roundabout in however many minutes.
I have a feel. I knew that was coming. It never fails anymore.
Well, it's failing at the minute. At least in trying to load up. So it's time to head to New Orleans with Margot. Well, sorry. Not really. Tom, Byron, and JBL, but you get the idea. So New Day come out with some New Orleans sort of jazz band accompaniment. And Kofi's like, look, we've got to make a grand entrance because this is where WrestleMania 34 is happening. And once the Usos lose on Sunday, they can return to the off Broadway version of Straight Out of Compton. And Xavier says, they'll walk into Mania as Smackdown Tag Team Champions. But the Usos interrupt. And they're like, are you actually being serious? You're playing with the wrong guys. We are the Wardens. Apparently we're still doing this as if it's some sort of like prison shit.
So it's still Oz on SmackDown then.
Probably. Although I never knew the Tin Man getting knifed in the showers. Except here come Breezango. And Fandango's like, there's a major break in your case, Usos. Your day one is not so H. And Tyler's like, if anything, your day one is G. G4, and he's like, and Fandango just goes, psst, psst, and Tyler goes, G for gross. Oh.
So great.
And the Usos don't have the authority to lock anybody up because they are the police. The fashion police. And all that jazz. Do, 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 do. I'm trying to work out whether my microphone's working.
You're fine.
I know there's a camera. No, I'm saying on the computer.
Ah.
Oh, wow, it doesn't even recognize it. That's why I can't be heard. That's why I'm on the call twice. Ooh, I've got to reattach it, have I? Right. This could be awkward. Over on air, I need to plug in a fucking microphone. Well, unplug and plug it in. So the colons interrupt. Yeah, they're here for some reason. I need to know which wire connects with which. Oh, god damn it. So the colons, basically, Epico's just like, stop sticking your noses where you don't belong, guys. The worst detectives and the fashion sense is horrible. We got a clue for you, Rent-A-Cops. We didn't trash the office, but we know who is going to get trashed. And that's you. Ooh. And other assorted noises. Where that wire fucking go?
As always, like I say every single week, the power of live broadcast.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, I'm trying to work out where the fuck this is plugged in. Because I want to try and get on the computer. And Big E basically says, the New Day and the Fashion Police are going to lawfully enforce the boots betwixt your buns. And then we go into the opening contest, which is, I'm guessing it's one of these two. I don't know which one. Guessing it's that one.
Bad things are about to happen.
Probably. Or something went. So it's 8-man tag action. Not too bad a match, but you can sort of tell that they're not trying to do too much shit. Eventually, it's Xavier Woods hitting the double stomp after the backbreaker from the. Okay, what the hell happened there?
That's a unique move.
So then they announce the important news that Monsieur Cena's apparently back. July 4th. And then this is the interesting thing, which we could bring up while I'm trying to work out what the shit's going on here with my fucking wires. How come that works when I'm still
Live, Ashley, live.
I know. I'm trying to get a fucking wire working. Yeah. What the fuck's that plugged into there for? Brilliant. So yeah, Cena's back as a free agent. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Now apparently he can go between each show as he pleases.
Which is a complicated issue.
To say the least.
Oh, is it? No, the other one's the mouse one. Oh, is it all the way down here? That's got two plugs. Don't really want to unplug the fucking... I'm confused as to why the mic isn't working. Hang on. I have to bring up some other program to make sure it is, and whether it's just being pernickety. So yeah, Nakamura and AJ in the back. And AJ's like, look, be warned, Sammy does get excited. And Sammy shows up and is like, okay, what we gonna do, guys? And AJ's like, wait, that it? And Sammy begins to like talk strategy and everything. And like, they better start with Corbin. And the others are like, he's like, are you gonna start with Ziggler or Owens? And AJ's just like, we're good. We can high five when we celebrate. And Nakamura likes Sammy because that's all he's allowed to bloody say. Oh right, there is no microphone listed at all. Did I send Owen a video that had no sound?
It's possible.
Little concerned. So Mojo then is asked about losing to Jinder last week with Shane. And he thanked Shane for the opportunity, but look, he came up short. Jinder's a fierce competitor and different than the guy that he beat a few months back. A small part of him is glad that he lost, as he deals well with adversity, and the loss will help elevate him, apparently. And then, because this had to happen, the reuniting of the Bros happened. Zack Ryder shows up and lifts him up on his shoulder and congratulates him. And they say they have some unfinished business as a team. I guess that's still happening.
Something tells me we may end up getting heel Ryder before too long.
Which I think is a good thing.
Oh God, yes, it's a good thing. I'm going to be very happy because that means that they're actually going to be consistently pushing him. Which, honestly, that's a really good thing because that's what needs to happen. And you know this to be true because this is me talking here.
Yeah, the guy that's into it.
Yeah.
So then it's time for Naomi versus Tamina, which randomly is having Lana at ringside. Well, it's not really random, I guess, because they are fighting for the title. Oh yeah, I still haven't come to terms with that. They're actually doing a bloody title match.
Did I miss something, or
Go ahead.
did I miss something, or did it appear to me that Lana was basically dressed in Elsa cosplay?
Well, if you just let it go, the cold will never bother you. Anyway, so Naomi gets the win with a split-legged moonsault. Okay, a match. There's the lead. I picked the wrong one. Nope, we haven't blown the microphone.
Live.
I know. What's going to happen? It's proper technical difficulties this time. So I'm trying to work out what the shit's going on. And then afterwards, Lana attacks Naomi from behind with a sit-out powerbomb and takes the title belt. And it's like, well, I guess that's now it's time to introduce the WWE. I still can't believe we're saying this. WWE Champion Jinder Mahal. So Jinder's just like, everybody rise, show respect to your champion. And someday I'll prove that Randy is a coward and afraid to let down his hometown of St. Louis, whatever. He's afraid of disappointing his family. And Randy's father and all the stars from the past will be sitting in the front row. And Randy refuses to confront me, and it's because he fears me. Fear the modern day Maharaja. And ever since Backlash, he's been acting like a defanged garden snake. They'll cut away at Randy's legacy until there's nothing left of that Orton name. Because the sun has risen on a new era. Then begins to speak in Punjabi, because that's a thing. I shouldn't say that. They're still doing that as if to say he's heel, even though to some extent people still like him, I would argue. So I don't know how that works. Here comes Randy. And Singh's like you're standing in the aisle to sort of backtrack. But of course Orton comes through the crowd. RKO from out of nowhere. Orton just leaves. So that's already telling me Jinder's retaining.
Oh, I mean, there's no way he's not at this point. I don't get it.
Corbin and Ziggler are in the locker room. And then Owens comes in. Wanting to talk. Telling Baron, don't act up. I don't want you playing up with all this shit and everything. Fuck it, I'm restarting the computer. Oh, I can't do that because then I've lost my fucking notes. Brilliant. Didn't think that through, did I?
This is technical difficulties with Ash today.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it is. Oh wow, they've already done the media call for the Connor thing?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So they're talking in the back. I get some additional notes up. Basically, Owens doesn't like either of them, but as long as they work together and take out the opponents, they can head into the show better off than they are right now. And, he left, and the other two were pondering. I tells you, pondering. And then Orton's interview backstage. He tells Renee, the time for talking's over. I'll take back the rightfully claimed. So then it's time for Charlotte and Natalia. Because that's a thing. And it was relatively quick. Charlotte basically hitting natural selection and getting the win. So she looks to be in prime contention. And then it's time for the fashion files.
Yes.
Now, Fandango finds Tyler laid out in their office, saying that they were attacked by two monsters with greasy hair, super dry skin, and two arms. Fandango drew a sketch as Bree described this and left. And the camera revealed that this sketch was two stick figures. Although, once again, we go to the fucking board. This week, there was a picture of Sami Zayn, and under it, in big letters, it said generic. And a post-it next to it that says needs a mask.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, the in-jokes are happening. Da, 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 da. So then, I think it was Make-A-Wish sort of stuff, because they had a video of a young fan getting to meet the wrestlers before the show.
Right.
To run down to the ring and got a custom belt from Steph. So she's there. Why is she on Smackdown? Boo! Breaking the fourth wall. Boo! Other assorted noises. Boo!
Here's that other assorted noises thing again.
Oh yeah, because I'm trying to plug in the lead to try and get the microphone working again.
Ooh.
So then Lana is getting a chance to speak and says, I don't care what people think of me. I'll shock the world and crush Naomi on Sunday. Part of me hopes it happens. I don't think it will. They're doing it as filler, but if we're truly trying to say it's the land of opportunity, it needs to fucking happen.
I agree.
So then it's time for the man of tag with 6 people. Which wasn't too bad. Zayn actually getting the win on Corbin with an Aluva kick. So yeah, they actually let Sammy win. Which means he ain't winning.
Oh, that sucks.
I
mean,
except then of course they do, let's recreate the Money in the Bank ladder match. So everybody in New Orleans realizes, wait, we were supposed to have AJ versus Owens and a title match between Jinder and Orton. And now we're getting bugger all. But basically, Corbin decided to climb up the ladder Nakamura pushed the ladder down, hit Corbin with a Kinshasa. Nakamura climbs the ladder and retrieves the briefcase. So we know who isn't winning on Sunday.
You know, right now, betting odds are saying Corbin's winning.
Well, considering that he's the last guy not to have touched the thing. Then again, they didn't show AJ or anything doing it, so.
That's horrible. If that happens, oh my God. You know who they're talking about winning the women's Money in the Bank, don't you?
I'm fearing Charlotte, but it should be somebody like Natalya.
You were wrong. Somebody far, 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 far worse.
Nia Jax?
She's not on SmackDown.
She is.
Okay, your version of her is not on SmackDown.
Yes, she is.
No, it's not. It's not Tamina. It's someone else.
Oh, now I'm fearing Carmella.
Be careful what you wish for.
Wow, that's
Stupid booking.
I don't know whether it's stupid or intriguing as shit.
No. Nothing about that is a good thing. You know this.
I wasn't. Hey, stuff that's intriguing does not have to be good.
Oh, it would be nice if it were.
So yeah, that. Wow. Can't wait for the odds there then.
God. I didn't want to think about it. Continue.
So we open up 205 Live. Moving on to that. With Tozawa getting ready. And Titus says it's time for cha-cha-ching. I'm pretty sure that's Ted DiBiase's music. Not the other way around. But whatever. Titus has pulled some strings, and Tozawa's in the main event against TJP. And I'm going, hang on. He was in the main event 2 weeks ago, wasn't he?
I've lost track on this show.
No, but he was on the main event. Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago?
It was something it was something around that time.
So now it's time for Corey Graves to be with Vic Joseph. So we officially have Tom not doing double duty anymore.
He is not.
And Aries is apparently going to be talking later on. And here comes Cedric as they recap the shit that happened. On Bloody Raw. And then he's taking on Daivari. Cedric wins. Interesting with a springboard heart attack, not the lumbar check this time.
Very interesting.
So mixing it up a bit. And then, of course, Noam Dar comes down. And, of course, Alicia is on the Tron via FaceTime, allegedly.
We're doing this again.
I would argue, how the hell is it FaceTime? I could actually see her lips move. I don't think the reception in a building like New Orleans would actually get good reception like that. Cedric decided to just beat the shit out of Dar. Oh, I see. The springboard heart attack actually was a near fall.
Okay.
They tried to use this distraction, but Dar got beaten up and then hit Davari with lumbar check. The only reason I say that is because the referee the hand went to the mat for the 3. But then he said, no, it's 2. So everyone's like, was it though? Actually, was it? And Fox is on the screen going like, you're just a loser. And Cedric teases just smashing the phone. And instead just presses red and hang up. Or hung up. I didn't get it right, terminology. Here comes Aries as they recap the Neville feud. Aries says it's good to be back in New Orleans, but I've worked hard to try and become a champion. I'm disappointed. When it's counted most, I haven't got the job done. But that's okay. Just get up and keep going. And mentions rumors that he's stepping away and, leaving. And due to his knee and his neck right now, he isn't medically cleared. So here comes Tony Nese. And they have a nice little back and forth. Jack Gallagher comes for the save. And beats the shit out of Nese with his umbrella. So basically, they're not writing him out. They're just putting him on the sidelines, sort of thing, until he's healed. Then which one tells Perkins that he looks good. He looked good against Neville, but took too many shortcuts. And he wants the old TJ to be back and take care of business, considering TJP doesn't. Then it's time for a Mustafa Ali video package. And then a Drew Gulak follow-up, which buries Dive. And then they set up for next week. It'll be Nese taking on Gallagher. And Ali versus Gulak. And then it's time for the main event, because yes, we're only having 2 matches, everybody.
Wow.
And it was a senton off the top that got Tozawa the win. Pretty good match, as you'd expect, because it's Tozawa trying to be pushed to the moon. And then Titus is saying, oh, it's raining yen. Millions of yen and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going, you do realize that, millions of yen is probably only about a couple of $1,000. Because most of these video game consoles over there are close to 100,000 yen. Anyway, Neville was watching this, I think, from commentary or whatever. Neville was just like, you're spouting drivel, Titus. You're setting Tozawa up to fail. It's just like everybody else. He's not on the Neville level. And then O'Neill just says, the Titus brand is about the future. And Tozawa is the future of 205 Live. And yeah, so weirdly, Titus is now a babyface. after all the setup and everything for the past few months, just because of Tozawa, he's now babyface. Which I guess means Apollo Crews is babyface as well now?
That's a really good question.
I don't even know.
You're not the only one. I mean, oh God, I don't even know what they're doing with this show. Like, it's clear that it's not what they wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows. It's just they make you not care about these characters.
It's not a great situation, really, is it?
No, it really is not. But that's what's going down. Speaking of going down, let's get to our next segment here on the show. Oh, Timbo says American Alpha is healed? Question mark.
Considering that's the only tag team that's left, unless, well, why would it be Mojo and Zach? I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
The microphone seems to be showing up on my stuff, so we might be able to actually do it properly. So I've got to drag out Lucha for long enough.
Well, Impact's next, so you're good.
Oh, that's thank God. We go to India. Part 1 of the Indian trip. And they start with Pritchard chewing out Borash and Matthews for everything. And if there's any physical altercation between the two of them, between now and Slammiversary, they'll be immediately fired. So then they show all the Impact guys coming over to India. And then we're in Soundstage 7 in Film City. So we're starting off with Alberta. And talks about all the years he's been winning titles all over the world, but there's one more title that he needs. Because we're only a few weeks away from Slammiversary, and he wants to be undisputed Impact Wrestling champ. So here comes Lashley. He says, "Look, I'm tired of you running your mouth. I'm going to smarten you up. I'm the realist, and I'll put you anywhere, even in the parking lot. I'm the man around here. I can't wait till Slammiversary because I'm winning, taking the DFW title with me. Alberto can walk his ass back to Mexico." And here comes Bruce Pritchard and says, "I love seeing two champs that are ready to fight. So both men are going to have mystery challenges, and they won't find out who it is until they walk through the curtain." So then a couple of guys in masks and full body tights come in, gesturing at Pritchard backstage. And he's like, "You want to challenge Alberto and Lashley?" "Nope." I don't know what the hell that shit was. So then it's time for X Division title matchness. That was a technical term, by the way.
Close enough.
Low Key taking on Caleb Conley. And not too bad a match. Sort of relatively, I wouldn't say relatively short, but relatively easy to call, considering we know what happens. Low-key getting the win with the Warriors way. Although it is worth noting that, yeah, the way it happened by the looks of it is Conley threw Loki outside and did a dive to the outside. But I guess that's where it gashed him and whatever.
Right.
Close to his eye. I don't know whether that was timed on purpose, because obviously, considering the storyline and everything, it seems relatively coincidental that what happened. So we'll see. So Sanjay comes out with a giant, big eye patch on, speaks in Hindi, and then asks for a shot at the X Division title and brings up all their history from the Elks Lodge, in Queens in 2001. And that Homicide and the Hit Squad aren't backing him up anymore. I've got 1 billion people on my side here in India. And Sanjay extends his hands. And Loki takes his Hitman foot glove off, shakes Dutt's hand. And next week, X Division title match. So then Swoggle cuts a promo of accusing Spud of actually being 45 and trying to look like he's 22. I guess we're building up to that. And now it's time for Vinash Verna versus Davey Richards. This would be where I'd get the bloody Ironside jobber alert stuff, but we haven't. Admittedly, the jobber didn't do too bad a job. Then again, the bit for the end was sort of dodgy as all hell, because Davey was trying to basically do a back suplex on him from a top rope.
Right.
So instead, I guess because he doesn't know how to take that move, he fought Davey off, went for a moonsault, but like a moonsault that probably you or I would do, Owen.
Oh, I can't do a moonsault.
Wow, if we were to do one, it wouldn't be very good. So he does it. And Davey just responds by kicking him straight in the head with a punk kick, putting the ankle lock, taps out. And then Davey stands on Verma's face, points to all the crowd as if to say, I'm better than you, because racial shit. And then EC3 comes out, ignoring Davey. EC3's got a leather belt in his hand and whips the shit out of this Vinash kid. And the Indian guy, I guess, from Sony 6 or from whatever,
Right.
comes to make the save. And then James Storm runs out to attack EC3, and EC3 obviously runs off. Storm just points at him and yells. Gets his way. Or something. So now it's time for Eli Drake protesting about, losing to Moose, which, as we mentioned last week, is relatively fair because that was controversial. Saying, I know you got a problem with me, Bruce. And Bruce is like, no, I don't. Adonis tries to calm Drake down, says, look, I honestly think me and Eli deserve the shots at Lashley and Alberto. Bruce will think about it. And Drake says, well, you better think about it long and hard. Part of me is like, oh, we're doing that now. Long and hard. There's a bunch of people talking about the Hall of Fame, which I don't know whether they announced on the broadcast. They've already announced it already, so I don't know. So Josh, basically on commentary, Borash says there's going to be a sparring session next week. I'm going to debut what I'm going to do to you, Borash, at Slammiversary. So now Swoggle chases Spud out into the crowd. And Spud escapes to ringside and back up the apron and everything. Flipping everybody off on the way. Because that's a thing. I think. So now it's time for the life and times of Mahabali Shera. And he talks about how much Indians love cricket. Yeah, so do the British. You seem to not give a shit about them right now.
Ooh, shots fired.
Well, they haven't done a UK tour. They've done an Indian one. Which admittedly, it's weird. The Indian market loves them. The UK market loves them. The American market hates them. Why are they still based out of the Orlando? Not to try and take away from you, Owen, but it's like,
right.
If you've got a rabid fan base, try and do more with it.
I see where you're coming from, believe me.
If this World of Sport thing is actually dead, surely that means it'd be free for them to do tapings when they wanted in the UK now. Not just what's going on now. So, who knows? But yeah, after the whole cricket thing, then we meet Mahabali's father and brother. And his accent's so strong that the only bit I could make out, or the only bit the report could make out, was like, this is a big deal, right? Like, so I guess we're trying to push Shearer, which makes sense, because obviously this is India and they're trying to push him in India. The big deal. Perhaps not the D'Lo Brown real deal. Woo! So now Joseph Park's coming into the corporate offices, plugging pay-per-view to the receptionist, and goes into the editing room and grabs Borash and says, my grandfather fought George Hackenschmidt in a bare-knuckle fight, so we need to start training. So then we get the first of the two fights for the titles. Can you guess which one was first, Owen?
I cannot.
The TNA title.
Of course it was.
The Impact title, Bobby Lashley defending against Moose. Pretty good match. And Lashley does win. Basically, Moose goes for the game changer, but Lashley ducks it and then spears. Still a good match between them, certainly. So then they show LAX's entrance video, and we're back at the clubhouse. And Conan's ecstatic that the team are double champions now. Homicide says we can find belts like this at the pawn shop, and then they have beer. Okay. Then we have Rockstar Spud getting lost in Mumbai. Sorry, Dubai, different country. So I guess we're not lost in Cleveland. We're lost in Mumbai. Oh, sorry, that was Dude Love. That was something that was interesting.
Nice reference.
So now it's time for women's action. I think it's for the Knockouts title. Hang on. Trying to quickly check something. So yeah, it is. It's Rosemary taking on Laurel Van Ness. And Rosemary wins with a roll-up. Relatively simple match, certainly. So then Sienna runs in, back jumps Rosemary. Ali comes with a kendo stick, attacks the heels. Then Rosemary uses the kendo stick because they overpower her. Rosemary makes a save herself. And they have a stare down, and it looks as if she's going to use the stick on Ali, but then drops it and bows and grabs the title and leaves. A weird, nice little touch, but whatever. So Bruce is backstage, and here's Kevin Matthews. This is still a thing. And, you know, did you pick an opponent for Alberto? Bruce says yes. Kevin's like, me, isn't it? Bruce goes, no. And KM's like, look, I'm the #1 contender. I'm undefeated. And Bruce goes, no, you're not the #1 contender, and you're certainly not undefeated. And it's like, yes, I am. No, you're not. And so Kevin, of course, goes, calling me a liar? Bruce goes, look, I'm not calling you a liar, but I'm also not calling you the #1 contender. So we're doing that angle then.
Apparently.
Yes. Then we get another video package of Borash and Joseph training. Workout in the gym. And then Park makes Borash jump into the pool. Apparently. So main event time. Alberto versus Chris Adonis. So Eli Drake gets nothing. Ouch. Not too bad a match. Alberto gets the win. Basically, he sits Adonis on the middle rope and double stomps him. So not even Chris can actually go top rope and actually make it look interesting. Got to be on the lower rope. So he just looks like an idiot. Or because they don't want it to look too much like Low-Key's move, because obviously it's practically the same.
Yeah.
That could be more why actually thinking about it.
Most likely.
So Alberto retains. In a very good match, certainly. Then Eli Drake attacks Alberto. Lashley comes out, smiling away at the top of the ramp, watching all this. Drake grabs the GFW belt, goes to hit Alberto with it. Moose runs in for the save. And then both him and Alberto stare down Lashley from the top of the ramp. Close the show. Some good matches and some weird segments. Seems to be what I'm saying every week about this company right now.
You really do.
Which is it's because of the weirdness of some of the stuff. You can't treat the full thing with enough credibility, I'd argue. But we'll see how it goes in the next, I guess, 3 weeks as we head into the verses of slums.
I'm interested. As long as nothing changes, I'll be at Slammiversary.
Mm-hmm.
I can't promise for sure, but I will be at Slammiversary as of this moment.
That sounds good.
So now we move forward, and we're moving forward to Lucha Underground.
The cup begins, which, considering what happened, makes sense for a title. So we open up with a recap of last week with Mundo's title defense, Drago turning on his partners to join the Reptiles, and the Cueto Cup getting announced, as well as the Black Lotus Triad and Pentagon. Where, if you remember, Kairi Hojo of, NXT and Io Shirai of NXT and the other girl, I can't remember who it was. I don't think she's NXT yet. They broke Pentagon's arm. So Cueto's in his office setting up the brackets for the cup. And here comes Pentagon Dark, saying that he's returned to the temple and wants to know where Black Lotus is. Cueto says, I haven't seen her in months. She's gone back to Hong Kong. And Pentagon threatens to break Darrow's arm and grabs it and begins to twist. And look, I don't know where she is, but I can get you a spot in the Cueto Cup to become to have a chance of becoming the next Lucha Underground champ. Pentagon threatens Dario. Of course, it's Zero Miedo. And if he doesn't walk out of Lucha Underground as champion, he's going to break Dario's bones. Spoilers, he sort of does. So I think that threat of breaking his bones was enough so that in 19 weeks' time, that scared him so much. In 19 weeks' time, he's going to be shitting himself, I guess, or something. So it's time for the first contest, and it's the Mac versus Mala Suerte, who I don't think we've seen before. I don't remember the name or whatever. But either way, pretty good match, certainly. But the Mac wins with the pounce, followed by the stunner Bagold. And progresses on in the tournament. So after break, Cage is backstage training with the Gauntlet. And Dario approaches him and says how the artifact is so powerful that he possesses. But don't just thank me for giving you the new form of power. And credits his dear friend Councilman Delgado. And he tells Cage to meet up with him and get along. Cage at first refuses, but once Dario gives him the contact information and leaves, I guess we'll be seeing some stuff later on. More Cueto Cup stuff, and this time it's Argenis back. Except he's taking on Pentagon Dark. You can guess who's going to win this. And unsurprisingly, Penta wins with a package pole driver. Still a good match because Argenis is certainly experienced, and it's rare for Penta to have a bad match, I would argue. And Penta teases leaving the ring, but of course he breaks Argenis' arm. Whee! Next up, it's Tejano versus Famous B in the first round. Except Famous B decided to come out sort of as a Texan, as a cowboy, and says he's from California, and Famous B gets upset with her because she doesn't introduce him as being from Texas. He's trying to get Tejano by getting on his good side, apparently. And basically B offers Tejano his services. And, he doesn't want... I don't want to win. I want you to win, Tejano, and I'm willing to lay down for it. And B lays down on the mat. And he covers him. 1, 2, and then he picks him up. Hits a sit-out powerbomb on him. Then 1, 2, 3, and Tejano wins. So because of the brackets and everything, that means Tejano will be facing Mac in the next round. And when Tejano leaves, Brenda smacks him on the ass and flirts with him. And then says, wow, he's so much cowboy, but little rope. Because I guess that's a thing. So then we see the beginning of the training for both guys in the Mysterio Morrison stuff. Narrated over, interestingly. And then the video ends with Dario getting all the credit for presenting the match. Then they recap the backstory to the whole Drago Cobra Moon stuff. Because for the final match in Group A, to face Pentagon Dark in the next round, it's Drago versus Aerostar. And Drago, it's a very good match, certainly, because obviously you got the complicated storyline between the two of them. And Drago wins. Basically tries to... Yeah, so Aerostar tries to counter Drago and pin him with a Dragon's Lair, but Drago manages to reposition and gets Aerostar's shoulders down for the free count. And then afterwards, Cobra instructs Drago to kill Aerostar. And Drago slams him into the mat. And then Cobra wraps Drago back onto the chain. And we leave the temple. But wait! For once, we've actually got more! Yay! Oh, I've been waiting for this. The post-credit scene. And shall I say, Owen, you will not be disappointed. And everybody listening, you will not be disappointed either. So, we're at City Hall, and Cage is meeting the man himself, Councilman Delgado. And Delgado greets him, saying, Cage, you can't take your glove off because it's working. Cage is like, it's working? Just a glove, isn't it? Delgado says, very soon, Cage, you will be more powerful than anyone can ever imagine. And that soon, our work will begin. And Cage is like, our work? I don't work for you, son. And Delgado just like, oh, don't worry. You will eventually. Your meaningless life to this point will suddenly now have a purpose. So Cage grabs Delgado by the neck with the glove and throws him up against the wall, and Delgado starts spitting up blood. And once he's seen this, Cage releases the grip and just goes, whoa, sorry. I apologize for snapping at you, sir. And Delgado's just like, it's okay. Yeah. You're still thinking like a man. And Cage stares at the gauntlet and smacks Delgado in the head. And when we see the fist, that once it's been pulled back, it is basically painted red. So much so that you actually see what may be a little bit of brain just sliding off the side of the glove. And Cage is like, I'm not a man. I'm a machine. And he walks off. And we see Delgado dead. Hit so hard that one of his eyes has actually fell out. And of course, as Cage leaves, he steps on the eye and crushes it under his foot. It's a shame I couldn't get the sound in time, because that's fucking roundabout right there. Oh, I missed this Lucha Underground. This weird shit. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh my god. We're back, Owen. It took 3 weeks, but we're fucking back. Yes.
All right. Well, that's good.
Robert Rodriguez style crazy gore stuff is happening in this show now. I think this one can officially be titled a TV-14 affair.
Fair point.
You have gloves that basically decapitates people. Oh. I don't know whether the plan was for Delgado to die, because if it wasn't, because I don't know what this whole big plan was with this, higher power or whatever. It's like, jeez. I guess we're looking for a new counselor. Oh, that's Lucha Underground. I heard rumors that some crazy shit was going to start happening. I think it did. Ever so slightly.
It sounds like it.
Oh. So, what do we move on to next?
Well, we're moving on to WCPW according to the schedule. If there is anything.
I mean, there's only news. We haven't got shows to review at least until probably next week. So this this Friday is Built to Destroy 2017, the anniversary of I think the pay-per-views, from what I remember.
Okay.
I think Built to Destroy was on What Culture Extra. I can't remember. If it wasn't, it was part of the WCPW stuff, but it certainly marks the 1-year anniversary of WCPW as a promotion. And dare I say they're doing too much, because the show's got 10 matches. So we've got Polo Promotions taking on Moss and Slater in tag action. The Scottish World Cup qualifier decider between BT Gunn and Kenny Williams. Joe Coffey is taking on a mystery opponent. There's no teasers as to who. General Manager Blompier has declared that it's happening. Bea Priestley put the women's title on the line against Kaylee Ray. The feud continues between Martin Kirby and El Ligero after the defection from that we talked about last week. Primate hopes to win the title, the hardcore title, the inaugural hardcore title from it's more accurately because it's inaugural. We've still got to do whatever. We've got to crown a champion, the first ever champ. That's what it is. He's taking on Jimmy Havoc. Which, considering what Jimmy's done this past week, I don't know whether he's worthy of having the WCPW hardcore title, considering I think he won a much more prestigious sort of last Saturday at DJ Hyde's farm. But we'll get to that. God, I'm marking out for that. I still can't believe it happened.
I can.
We've also got the Swords of Essex defending their tag belts against Prospect in what might be, I think it's Archer's retirement. At least they're teasing retirement anyway. So I think they might be changing the belts. I'm trying to hear myself
so I can get a gauge of
when I can actually switch properly. Also one-on-one in a very intriguing
affair. We're going to be having
Davey
Richard, sorry.
Um,
That could be a good
be a
one.
good one. In all honesty. And then the remaining two, Gabriel Kidd defends the Internet title against Shay Samuels. And then Joe Hendry put the WCPW title up for grabs against
Rampage. Wow, as I'm
on the call, none of this is making any sense. Hopefully one of the
things is doing it. And the
and the
echo
echoes just fucking confusing.
so is UFC talk or not?
Well, I mean, yeah, that is the next thing on the show.
I never remember the running order.
Just that Smackdown and 205 Live normally starts. Eventually, if I manage to get it off the actual
browser where the call is, this will actually stay.
Can
Good.
we get rid of the echo, please?
I'm
trying. Right. Be gone. So with the UFC, I mean, I'll get there's some big stuff that did get revealed.
Okay.
We'll start off with the actual.
And he drops. So our UFC talk will begin momentarily as soon as Ashley returns. Don't know exactly how long that's going to be, so that's good. It's always fun to stall for time sometimes. It really is. So we'll have to talk about tonight. Still to come after we get our weekly dose of mixed martial arts news. We're going to move into NXT, Ring of Honor, and of course the big one tonight for us would be Dominion, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're talking Long Beach, we're talking G1, a lot of stuff going on tonight, a lot of rumors, a lot of news going around. All that's going to be discussed later on tonight. So Ashley is trying to get back at this point. So of course I can't really go into UFC talk because I don't follow UFC. But I would say right now that a lot of things are going on in the wrestling world right now. As always, and this is a pay-per-view weekend. I mean, we really didn't even discuss the pay-per-view, to be honest. See, Ashley pops in for a second. He just drops right out. So, yeah, we've got Money in the Bank this Sunday, which means we've got yet another pay-per-view podcast coming Sunday night. So stay tuned for that. As of right now, only 5 matches on the show. Don't see any match actually set for the pre-show. Then again, I wasn't watching Smackdown this week, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if there was. But as of this moment, we've got Lana and Naomi for the Women's Championship, Becky, Charlotte, Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina in the first ever Women's Money in the Bank.
That's good. I set it up and it all went fucking wrong.
And now Ashley is back, so I will continue what I was saying later.
Thank you for stalling.
I tried. It
And
didn't
then
really work out too well.
True. The main event between Hunt and Lewis was pretty good. Although I will say Lewis did seem a little knackered and exhausted towards probably the second or third round. So Hunt won with a TKO. The ref probably, so be it. And interestingly, afterwards, Hunt was like obviously celebrating. Lewis.
And he mutes himself. Great. All sorts of issues tonight on the show. It's great. Great. We're killing time. As well, so back to Money in the Bank real quick, since Ashley disappeared again. We got the Usos defending the tag belts against the New Day, and then you have the Money in the Bank with Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, and Shinsuke Nakamura. In the main event, Jinder Mahal defends the WWE Championship against Randy Orton. So, expect a pay-per-view of lacklusterness, I guess you would say. We'll go with that. Ashley needs to return. I don't know why he is muted. He's talking and he mutes himself. I don't understand. It makes no sense. Hopefully we can fix this issue.
Trust
Apparently
me, I don't know why I'm muted either. It wasn't working. Anyway, Hunt and Lewis for that main event with Lewis's possible, although I don't think it will happen, retirement. So I try and fix this bloody mic muting, but that's Firefox for you. They get 50,000 each, and then for Neugen's submission and knockout, they get $50,000 each as well. So overall, a fair bit of money was had by all, or something.
All right.
So that with the card coming up, we're staying in the area because we're going to Singapore, Kalang, Singapore, at the indoor stadium, the Singapore indoor stadium, that is. This 17th, so that would be Saturday. This show is only going to be on Fight Pass, I think, probably because if it's in Singapore, it's going to be at the usual time, so it's not going to be when it should be. The confusing thing that's going on here is I don't know how live the show is actually going to be. Because obviously, if it's Fight Pass, it's normally, obviously it's not going to be on television. I'm not sure whether it is in the UK. I'd have thought so because it's Singapore and everything. But either way, because it's Singapore, they're putting on a bloody stacked card. Stat card as all hell. Not so much on the prelims though. So quickly going through that. In no particular order, I'll just go by the weights. We've got a women's bantamweight fight with Ji Young King versus Louis Pudilova. 2 flyweight bouts with Naoki Inoue taking on Carl Johns de Thomas and Justin Scoggins facing Olka Sasaki. A bantamweight bout with Kwan Ho Kwak versus Russell Doan. Welterweight action with Li Jinglang versus Frank Camacho. Apparently, it was supposed to be Jinglang versus Jonathan Moyner, but Moyner got removed from the card late last week, about a week ago from now, due to an alleged injury. So that's why Frank Camacho's come in. Alex Kakaris taking on Roland Dye. Cyril Asker and Walt Harris go one-on-one in the heavyweights match. And then the lightweights finish it off with Takanori Gomi versus John Tuck. See, on paper, that doesn't seem an impressive card. Then we get to the main 4. And there's big names in all 4 of them. Leading off, we've got the heavyweights with Andrei Arlovsky taking on Martin Tybura. Next up, 2 welterweight bouts. Rafael Dos Anjos is taking on Tarek Safadine. And then Colby Covington versus Dong Hyun Kim, a.k.a. the Korean Zombie. And then the main event, again in the bantamweights, Holly Holm versus Betch Carrera. So the one that didn't slay Ronda Rousey versus the one that did, I guess. Maybe. Oh no. So in terms of the news, we mentioned him regarding boxing coverage, but I'd say somewhat of a coup. Bellator have signed Mauro Ranallo to do their Bellator coverage, starting from the next big show, which of course is the Madison Square Garden pay-per-view next Saturday, the 24th. However, it's not just Mauro. And this is the one that I didn't think would come, but I guess that's what you get for not thanking him when he signs off his last bloody broadcast. Yes, Bellator is not only now going to be the voice of Mauro Ranallo, it's also going to be the voice of Mike Goldberg. So they'll be joining Jimmy Smith and Chael Sonnen and Jen Brown, the backstage reporter. So it's unclear whether Mauro's going to be commentating or Goldberg is, or both. My feeling is it'll probably be Ranallo that hosts the coverage, and Goldberg and Jimmy Smith will probably be announcing it. The reason why this happened is Sean Grande basically left due to scheduling issues. So, yeah, they're going big. And they've also, Scott Coco's the Bellator boss, said that both men will, quote, do all of our shows for the rest of the year, at least. So that certainly seems an interesting prospect, certainly. Also regarding Bellator, Dave Navarro has been announced to be performing the national anthem at the show, which is headlined by Wanderlei Silva and Chael Sonnen one-on-one. So I think that's all the MMA news, Owen.
Good. NXT.
Go ahead.
So NXT once again back in full sail. We're back in the road now to the next takeover. It's a long road compared to the last one. We get Drew back.
Like, okay, why am I muted when I'm not muted? Ugh.
Anyway, SummerSlam weekend, the next takeover. So we've got a while. So we got a long road. But on the road here, Drew McIntyre starts off the show against Rob Risen. Not much here. McIntyre wins with Claymore. Just a straight up beatdown. We get Ember Moon in the back being officially cleared. That was the clip shown from 2 weeks ago. And we're going to be getting Ember returning to the ring against Peyton Royce next week.
Okay.
Authors of Pain won a squash match. Less said about it, the better. Super Collider. Here comes. Yeah, I just don't care with the Authors of Pain. Sorry.
Oh, that's what. Okay, I get it.
Authors at the Super Collider, and here comes Paul Ellering on the mic. He says, "Heavy Machinery are just as dumb as they are large." The Authors have beaten TM61, American Alpha, The Revival, and DIY. They write their own book of pain. And when they do, Heavy Machinery won't even make a footnote. Here comes Heavy Machinery. They go face to face. Who called this months ago? This guy.
Okay.
Vignette on Sonya Deville. Okay. Put your hair up and square up. She badly needs a new catchphrase.
Jeez.
Velveteen Dream against Raul Mendoza. You remember him? He was in the Cruiserweight Classic. He was Kendrick's first
Velveteen Dream
opponent.
was?
No, Mendoza was. Quick squash match. Velveteen Dream hits a rolling Spicoli driver and hits the elbow off the top. So they show what happened last week with Oni Lorcan and Hideo Itami, with Ono making the save, getting into it with Itami. Kayla interviews Ono about what's going on with him and Hideo. He feels that he actually had to sink to Hideo's level last week. He knows that's not who he is, and he needs to clear his head. He wants to lead by example. He talked to Regal, and he's going to give him a match next week. So, Ono versus Aleister Black next week. Death by elbow.
Wow.
Collide in NXT.
Versus Chris Hero?
Yes.
What did NXT to do to deserve that awesome match?
Give us crap otherwise. Speaking of that, actually, not really. This actually was a really good match. Three-way for the Women's Championship. Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Ruby Riott. Decent stuff here, but the only issue is it went to a no contest. Because they wouldn't stop fighting.
Well, it's probably going to happen.
This was Nikki hitting the Golden Gate spin and eliminated Ruby Riott, and then Asuka and Nikki battled pretty much throughout the building, which means that we're probably building to some sort of a stipulation match takeover. Even though they really want Ember Moon, but there's no reason to do that now because after the match was over, they fought outside, each other into walls and doors, and a cooler full of ice water that Asuka got dunked headfirst into. And then the very end of it, Nikki dove at Asuka, and they both went through the table. Regal and Steve Corino came out to check on everyone to end the show.
Steve.
Not really much to it. It was just something that kind of happened. NXT's business as usual. Let's talk Ring of Honor, shall we?
Actually, it's worth quickly mentioning some, because we talked about it earlier, the McGregor Mayweather stuff in the media call that they've done. McGregor was never mentioned as being a UFC fighter. Instead, he was an Irish superstar. They're thinking that the show will make $500 million in revenue. And in terms of price point, we might be looking at $100 again for the pay-per-view. Jesus. And Dana said there will be no UFC that day, even on an earlier card. The day will be entirely dedicated to boxing. Although, interestingly, there is no confirmation that Moro is calling the action. So we might be having the UFC commentary team doing it. As part of the thing. Who knows? They probably wouldn't want Moro involved with it because, of course, he's just signed up to Bellator. But, you know, he's still part of Showtime as well. So, who knows? So, Ring of Honor. Once again, we're back at the 2300 Arena. Hammond Page and the Bucks come to the ring because we're starting off with 6-man tag action with the Bucks and Page versus Chuck Taylor and Roppongi Vice. Yeah, the surprise partner is Trent's real tag team partner. And of course, the crowd marked the shit out of this. Of course. And then the interesting bit was the finish. The Bucks went for the Meltzer driver, but Roppongi pulled Nick off the apron, allowing to get Chuck Taylor to hit the awful waffle on Matt and score the winning pinfall. Sorry, I'm amazed. The guy that isn't even signed to the company just got the pinfall.
We saw the awful waffle in a Ring of Honor ring. I think that's a win in its own right.
Yeah. And of course, the best friends of Roppongi, I guess that's what we call it, all hugged in celebration afterwards. Man, Chuck Taylor needs to be in Ring of Honor. Not even more, just on a permanent basis, please. Because I don't think he'd get anywhere in WWE, which would be a shame. He's a very good comedic style character that could be used possibly on 205 Live.
I'd say so.
Then again, if he went there, he'd be butchered the fuck out of. So
yeah, we don't want anybody else to go anywhere because it's just making it worse.
Mixed feelings. All these people that have gone have turned out utterly shit, even though they're better than that.
Have you heard about Hunter and Vince are having issues now because of the treatment of the NXT call-ups, especially what they're doing to Bayley right now?
I'm not surprised when you nurture the stuff and it gets trashed, you're gonna feel personally affected by it. Oh, the Bailey brand is dead. Nobody's
Yeah,
buying. That's the thing. If they're doing this, that means that nobody's going to be buying the Bailey merch, and so it's like, so you've created a storyline where you want Alexa to be over, where she isn't selling merch enough in order to warrant it, but Bailey is, and has still got a connection with the fans, even though the fans now hate her. So. And other assorted noises. Who knows? Anywho. So then there's a promo from the Kingdom saying how they are taking on the boys next week. Could be an interesting bout. So then Jay White has a video package as well, saying it's interesting because it sort of gives more detail on him, and I don't want to say it makes you care for him now, but it certainly gives you more an idea of where his character is. So part of me's like, why didn't they do this earlier to actually get him over rather than just like be buried and, I mean, not get squashed, but sort of be treated as insignificant, possibly. Anyway, from one Taylor to another, because now it's Shane Taylor and Rhett Titus for the Rebellion, taking on Search and Destroy of Jay White and John Gresham. Pretty good match. Even though we did have the DQ. Basically, Search and Destroy were about to win, but Coleman knocked White off the top rope. Then Kenny King showed up and did a spine buster that even Triple H is going, shit, he's better than me. And then Shelley came out and Sabin and whatever, and so Shelley grabbed a mic and wanted to put an end to this. So at Best in the World, it's the Rebellion versus the Machine Gun / Search and Destroy, with the added stipulation that whoever loses must disband as a four-person unit. Part of me feels because Kenny King has been so awesome in the singles run that he did have, I want Rebellion to be gone.
I can see that.
Because I think Kenny could be a very interesting prospect for the TV title. And then it's time for the TV title match. Marty Scurll versus Kushida. Really good match. So yeah, the finish came with Marty going for the chicken wing, locking it on, but the lights come out, and there's somebody standing on the apron in Marty's attire. And oh look, it's Adam Cole, baby. So then DDT from Kushida, Back to the Future suplex, cradle combination. 1, 2, 3. Kushida is the new TV champion. It's sort of a shame that that's how Marty lost the belt. But the fact is, we're getting a rematch at War of the World, so I'm not complaining, really. So overall, another strong week. Roll on Friday next week. Next Friday. We're only about 8 days away.
Yep. And I am not work. I can 100% say I can completely devote it because I do not work that day. So I will be fully ready for War of the Worlds and very much excited for it.
Yep. So am I, because, well, let's just say July the 1st could be interesting.
Yeah.
Is that going to be considered a segue?
Yeah.
Good. So we have to start off with New Japan with the Kurikan Hall show.
Yep.
From last Friday. Because the major things of note that happened on the show, I would argue, was Tanahashi was getting his arm worked over by Naoto throughout the match. And of course, Kushida and Hiromu had their big stare down. Cody got a win in their 8-man tag that they had. Yujiro and Page got an impressive win over Gedo and Ishii. So they're actually looking like a pretty good tag team now. Certainly working well. So I'm sort of wondering whether they may get a junior heavyweight run somewhere down the line. Who knows? And then Nick gets the win for the main event. Nick of the Young Bucks gets the win after the Katayoko no Tenchi from Omega from Rocky Romero, which I think is the One Winged Angel, isn't it?
I believe so. I don't know by that name, of course, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't remember because I didn't see the show myself.
When did it take place?
Oh, it's the Kurikan Hall one from Fridays. The bit that I remember hearing about was they got Okada on a table and T's doing something.
Right.
But Okada decided to Omega went, no, that'd be too easy. I'm gonna win clean against you, Okada. So goodbye and good night. Now, Saturday, a load of interview things got posted up. With English subtitles. Except for one. Well, no, because I think there was one with the Bucks as well. But the Kenny Omega one, if you know, it's up for free, so you don't even have to be signed up to New Japan World. If you're on a mobile device, you will need the New Japan app just to be able to play the video. Although I think it should be able to play if you set it to like desktop mode. Certainly if you've got an Android device like I have. It's a brilliant recorded promo. Seems to be recorded in like a Resident Evil house or something. Just this barren, dilapidated room or whatever. And he's basically saying about, why the hell am I getting this shot? 2016 was a heck of a year for me. I didn't put a foot wrong. But if you look at my record for 2017 so far, I lost at Wrestle Kingdom. In the New Japan Cup, I lost in the first round to Ishii. And the guy that beat me didn't even make it to the final. He got only to the semi-final. So why should I be getting the shot? And then he was also going on about, don't expect this to be part 2 of Wrestle Kingdom 11. This is going to be a completely whole new affair. I can guarantee you it won't be a draw. No matter what, I'll be the one that has his hand raised. And I'll finally prove I'm the better man. It was just a brilliant interview thing. They haven't put it up on anything other than New Japan World. I don't even know whether Owen can watch that stuff, whether it be on his mobile or his computer.
I can look somewhere.
But I'll have to send you the link once we're done and whatever. But it just is. It's such a great promo, and if you look at it even afterwards, after knowing what's happened with the show, you can see even more. Why the hell did WWE let him go? Because the way he executes the promo is just like, people should take note. So Dominion itself, man, the pre-show match was actually pretty good. Dave Finlay getting the win for his team, comprising of Tomoyuki Oka and also Shota Umino, beating Hirai Kawato, Katsuyumi Kitamura, and Tetsuhiro Yagi, with Yagi getting pinned. So the main card opened up with Makabe, Nagata, Tiger Mask W, and Tiger Mask 4 beating Tenkozy, Nakanishi, and Liger. Makabe winning with the King Kong knee drop on Nakanishi.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was an okay match.
I mean, it was
Then
super
the confusing
for me.
shit.
It was early.
Then the confusing shit. The gauntlet match. So we started off with Team Chaos of Yano, Yoshihashi, and Ishii. The Bullet Club of Paige, Farley, and Yujiro. With, I think she's called Tokyo. So I can't remember. She's changed her name. It's not Tokyo Bitch, but it's something like that.
Tokyo Latina.
Tokyo Latina, that's it.
Oh, you mean Ariana
AKA
Grande?
the one that thinks she's Ariana Grande.
Yep.
But via some shenanigans and everything, Yano gets the win for his team, so Bullet Club are gone. So
Yeah. What's the deal, Ashley? With would they do these multi-man matches for the never open weight titles? Why do the Bullet Club always get eliminated first?
they're always put in first for some reason. I don't know. I honestly don't. So then here comes Suzuki Gun. Within about 43 seconds, Zax won with a submission on Yano with a European clutch. So next up is Team Funky Fresh, I guess.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We get to groove with Taguchi's music, along with Ricochet and Juice Robinson. They have a nice little match. Juice getting the win, eliminating Taichi with the Pulp Friction.
I'm telling you, they're pushing him.
So then, LIJ, their entrance. During this time, Sabre Jr. locks on the octopus hold. And only at the last minute breaks it, just as like the other guys are about to get in the ring. Weirdly enough, although Robinson gets that, he isn't even involved in the finish. But it is Bushi that gets the win, hitting the MX on Taguchi. So, holy shit, the 6-man tag belts were successfully defended. That's a rarity, everybody. So, then it's time for Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks. And I think just to send a message to certain people, the Young Bucks won with a sharpshooter.
Yep.
They didn't win with any Meltzer driver or anything. They just went old school. They
They're
worked
gonna-
down on Romero's legs, and they really worked down on Romero heavy and left Beretta being the one to make the save. Sort of the opposite of when Beretta got murdered and Rocky had to make the save back at Wrestle Kingdom. But either way, the Young Bucks won, which is only fair because, as revealed on Being the Elite, somebody decided to nick Nick's bag with $2,000, his car keys for his, I don't know if it's rental car or actual car, and his passports.
I believe it was a rental, the way that he was talking.
Yeah. So then we get War Machine versus the Gorillas of Fuck. And it's the Bullet Club that win it. Tamatonga hitting Guerrilla Warfare on, I think it was Rowe.
I believe so.
Because Rowe went to use a chair, but got stopped. And then I think it was Tonga swung the chair and smashed it against Rowe's head. And I was like,
That was a very nasty chair shot. He carried the chair like a badge of honor, too.
It broke. The chair was, because the chair was plastic and everything, it just broke and snapped off, so it had the dramatic effect. But still, direct chair shot to the head, New Japan. I know you're supposed to be hard, but no. Then we had Cody beating Michael Elgin with the Crossroads. Then afterwards, getting on the headset and everything, and basically calling out both Okada and Daniels. And then we get to the start of the interesting stuff.
Yeah, the Cody match was good. I liked it.
Yeah. Then we get to the interesting stuff. Hiromu Takahashi taking on Kushida. This match.
Yeah, this
oh
match.
My God.
Well, first off, let's talk about Takahashi jumping out of the actual sky, kind of like Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
The sunset bomb to the outside. Dear God.
Yeah. That was pretty beautiful. Also painful.
Kushida hit Back to the Future off the top, but he couldn't make the cover because he'd worked over so much. And then we saw the stomps of infinite death from Kushida on Takahashi. It was basically created a blood mustache.
It's not blood stash.
It was nasty. He locked in probably the most painful version of the hoverboard lock I've ever seen, and Roman just taps out. This match was phenomenal. And then it wasn't over.
I can't say really good because I'll be saying it too much. But it really was. So, and this I think was a very clever move. So Kushida, when he won Best of the Super Juniors last week, said, I'm going to win the Super Juniors, win the title back, and then we can all do the wave. So, of course, we start doing the wave. And then everybody shouts and screams as they show this wave happening. Because Bushi went and attacked him during the middle of the wave, which got missed by the camera, but it still had that, what happened? What happened? What happened? And then Bushi was shown, and it was oh. So Kushida and Bushi is happening. We'll get to that, but
yes.
One thing I do want to note is apparently this is what Hiromu said in an interview afterwards. I just had to quickly open up the picture viewer in order to get this. Weird. So weird. I said so much and then this. Even if my bones are breaking, I won't quit. Even if I'm exhausted, I won't stay down. Were they all just words? Truth is, if your arm's just about to snap, it's human instinct to give up. If I hadn't tapped, my arm would have been ripped off my shoulder. I may have talked like I could continue even in that state, but I can't. That's my weakness. If I broke my arm, could I wrestle my next match? How the hell would I be able to with an injury like that? I got scared. I got beat. I can't make excuses. I have to be me. Push forward like only I can. And this is where it gets interesting. Mr. Belt, I'm sorry. I let you down. I don't know what you're thinking now. Kushida, please make Mr. Belt happy. That's all I ask for. I'm not dead yet. That's me, right? Whatever happens, I keep standing back up. Whatever happens, damn it. Yeah, Mr. Belt. Is that a new Mr. Men character? Mr. Belt. Oh, I love it. So now we get the next up, the Never Open Weight title, the Lumberjack Death Match between Suzuki and Goto. The thing is, I love the fact it was called Death Match because there was nothing death about it.
There were 4 lumberjacks from the different factions that were on both sides of the ring. That was it.
That was the death bit. It was a standard lumberjack match. It was nothing to do with death.
You're correct.
Suzuki retained with the Gotch-style power driver. And then interestingly afterwards, Yoshihashi decided to offer himself up as the next challenger, and Suzuki went, all right. So I'm sort of wondering if Yoshi's getting the title here as some sort of weird upset.
I know who needs to take the title. Well, not really take it. Okay, you know what I'm going to say before I say it, and they set it up too, especially during the match. One thing I want to say right now, even if it's a short run, I want to see the match against Liger. They set it up greatly. Liger at ringside with Masachono, and basically Liger getting all angry and about ready to snap.
Liger lost his shit on that one.
Yeah, he did. And I enjoyed it very much so.
And then Naito versus Tanahashi, which was also a great match.
Yeah, it was.
And again, alternative finish. Tanahashi couldn't get the win with the high fly flow.
Nope.
So instead, went to a variant of the Texas Cloverleaf hold, I would say. And Naito had to tap. So Tanahashi, being fucking injured, is champion.
He's dropping. I can't think he's not going to drop it.
In Long Beach. He ain't dropping it.
Wouldn't surprise me. The only issue is I know who his opponent is.
That's why I'm saying he can't. So, keep in mind here, we are roughly 3.5 hours into this show with no interval. And we're at the main event. Okada and Omega. Let me go back to my conversation with Owen. Let me just get it. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. That's what I just said.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of insight here. So I have to work super early in the morning. And on top of that, I have to walk to work. So I need to get up about an hour and a half previously to what, so I can have time to get ready. I set my alarm for 2:45 so I could wake up to watch the show. And I did. I was getting ready to start Naito and Tanahashi, and I thought that I wouldn't be able to finish it. Luckily, I was able to finish it. And right at the bell, I had to leave. So I got to work. I found a means to do so, and I started watching the main event. Right before we got to the actual last part of the finish, like right before everything went down, I had to go to work. So I had to watch this after the fact. I have no words. This match was unbelievable.
It's true. It wasn't part 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. To me, this was better.
Overall, I'd say so.
Especially with the added little storyline bits here and there. You know, Omega finally hitting the one-winged angel. But Okada gets his foot to the ropes. Okada keeps hitting the Rainmaker. Not enough. Omega gets the crap beaten out of him so much that Cody and the rest of the Bullet Club come out. Cody ready to throw in the towel. But then they stayed at ringside to watch on. And then Okada hits the Rainmaker. Crawls over. But before he can even reach Omega to pin him, the bell rings. And the match goes to a 60-minute time limit draw.
Oh my God.
Ric Flair, stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Okay, so obviously the way I do things here is I like calling spots. I'm basically just going to talk about a couple of things here. Omega does his gun taunt. He gets turned into the Rainmaker for a near fall. And what Ashley and I have been saying for the longest time finally happened. Omega picks up Okada, hits the one-winged angel. Notice the placement by the ropes. 1, 2, and right before 3, the toe of Okada is on the bottom rope. That was amazing.
Thanks, Kevin.
I like the fact of when both men were so spent, Okada goes for the Rainmaker one more time, and Kenny just collapses. I like the tease with Cody. Cody coming out to go try to throw the towel in when Okada was about ready to finish him off. And then you had every other member of the Bullet Club trying to make sure he didn't do it. I mean, there's so many great things in this match. Watch this, seriously. I 100% love like calling matches. We'll just watch this match, seriously.
Part of me wonders whether the storyline is now going to be that Kenny's winning finally at Wrestle Kingdom 12.
It's possible. It's very possible.
I honestly think the interesting thing could be, because I don't think we've seen it done yet, is have somebody win the G1 that isn't Kenny, but then have Kenny win the shot.
Why do I got a
in
feeling?
Some shape or form.
Why do I get a feeling that Cody's winning G1?
Oh, no. I don't think you're going to go that big.
I mean, he's got a really good chance to become Ring of Honor champion on Friday night. Next Friday night.
And that's where we need to talk about the next set of shows.
You are correct.
So, they're already going big even before that, because the Kazuna Road Tour is happening from June 18th, so that is this weekend, heading through June 27th. This, of course, means that there actually is one match to focus on this week that we'll cover next week. Because this Tuesday is the first of the 3 Korakuen Hall shows, which means it's the first of the 3 title matches. So, set up for that show is Sanada, Evil, and Bushi defending the 6-man tag belts against Juice Robinson, Taguchi, and Kushida. I am sensing something happening there, possibly. Then again, it would make more sense for LIJ to retain, I would argue. But we'll see. So we'll have, obviously, coverage of that and what else ever happens on the Korakuen Hall show next week. Also, it's worth noting, at that show, they'll be announcing who's part of the G1 this year. Then next week, next Monday, the 26th of June, and the 27th, the day after on the Tuesday, back-to-back Korakuen Hall shows, basically the last shows that they're doing in Japan before heading over to America. Minoru Suzuki defends the Never Openweight title against Yoshihashi. And Kushida on the Tuesday defends the junior heavyweight title against Ibushi, which I think Kushida will retain. But again, I think whoever wins between LIJ and New Japan for the 6-man tag belts will be the opposite of who wins the junior heavyweight belt. So as in if Taguchi, Robinson, and Kushida win, I sense Bushi taking the belt off Kushida.
I think he might, honestly.
Yeah. In terms of those other two matches as well, June 26th, the Monday show, will announce the blocks for A and B with the competitors that have already been announced. And then the June 27th show will announce all the official matches. That will come from those blocks as to which shows they're happening and when and whatever. We've also got the majority of the card set up for the Long Beach shows now. So we've got a 10-man tag to open with the Briscoes, Ospreay, and Roppongi Vice taking on the Bullet Club of Fale, Yujiro, Marty Scurll, and the Young Bucks. Then a very international affair with Sanada, Evil, Bushi teaming up with Hiromu Takahashi of and then they're taking on the international team. So it's Liger, Volador Jr., Dragon Lee, and Titan. So it's basically CMLL and Liger.
Interesting.
Then we're going to be having the first of the US Heavyweight Championship first round matches with Jay Lethal taking on Hangman Page and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Juice Robinson. Then 8-man tag action with Tanashi, Kushida, Jay White, and Finlay versus Yoshitatsu, Billy Gunn, and Yo and Sho, the Tempura Boys. Then the Gorillas of Fuck defend the tag belts against War Machine in a rematch. Then the other first round matches happen. Naito faces Ishii, and Michael Elgin versus Kenny Omega.
It's very interesting.
Because for some reason, they think the biggest main event will be Okada versus Cody. Despite the fact that New Japan are not allowed to acknowledge that Cody is the Ring of Honor champion, because if it's on Access TV, technically they can't mention it because it's a different company. Anybody notice the issue here? As in, oh, look, Kenny's in America. If you wanted to, honestly, I think this is a bad move from New Japan. Because if you had Omega win the New Japan belt in America, the American market would go fucking crazy for it. New Japan World subscriptions, I'd have thought, would have gone up. And there'd be a lot more people interested in it, especially when you take into account the rumors that they are setting up a dojo and are going to be doing some sort of American wing of New Japan Pro Wrestling over the next 12 months. Of course, they could do something, on the second night, which would be weird because that wouldn't be live. People would only find out sort of afterwards, so I don't know. And so for the second day, the semi-finals, in terms of the brackets, it'll either be Lethal or Page taking on Elgin or Omega, and Zack Sabre Jr. or Robinson versus Naito or Ishii in the semis. The finals will also be on that night as well. And then the other two matches set, the junior tag belts on the line. The Young Bucks defend against former champs Roppongi Vice. And Hiroshi Tanahashi puts the Intercontinental title up for grabs against Billy Gunn.
It's so random. My God, that's so random.
Billy Gunn might get booed. That's what I love.
It's very possible.
Unless he's going to act like the heel anyway, so. I don't know.
We shall see.
I just think it's a mistake to not have Okada drop the belt. I know Japan would be pissed because the title change happened not in Japan, but you're on the global stage. You're going to have people watching from around the world. They already have been. They already got wowed by Dominion. And you just... I love the fact that somebody noted on Twitter that... Because basically after Okada won and they did the backstage sort of drinking of the beer, Cody was just like, I'm challenging you for Long Beach. And sort of spat beer in the guy's face. And then Gato obviously cut the promo in Japanese to inform the Japanese fans of what was said in case they didn't know. And to be honest, the very last line sort of epitomized probably Gato realizing what match just happened and what he's just thrown away for the US market. Because he just goes, ugh, fuck. It's like, yeah, because that's what everybody's saying. I'm sorry, Cody, but if you want to showcase New Japan, you do not have Okada versus Cody Rhodes. You have Okada versus Omega. Who cares if it's another fucking 60-minute draw?
Exactly.
Yeah, if they have Omega winning the US Championship, I honestly think that crowd could be hostile enough to boo it.
I could see that.
Because they don't want him with some belt that doesn't mean anything. They want him with the belt. You know, the belt that AJ had, the belt that Brock had, the belt that Nakamura had, the belt that all these great legends have had. Not something that's just been created because you're trying to get over in America. If anything, I want Naito to win it, and then Naito to just destroy the belt immediately, saying, there is no championship. Then he'd be over like shit as well. So. Oh. Also, it is worth noting, I think it's this Friday. Yeah, this Friday. If you have got access, watch it, because Jim Ross and Josh Barnett will be calling the Okada versus Shibata match from, was it King of Pro Wrestling a few months back? Or Dontaku?
Yes.
No, it was Dontaku, wasn't it? I think. The one that may have ended Shibata's career. That match will be covered on Friday. Also, as a fucking beautiful thing that could be interesting, the entire 5 hours roughly of Dominion will be airing with Jim Ross and Josh Barnett's commentary on the 30th of June. So Friday, you're going to get 5 hours of Dominion. And then you're going to get possibly 5 hours of whatever the first night of the Long Beach card is. Possibly, because that's how long they've given it in terms of time. And then also, God knows how many hours for the one that airs on the Sunday, or happens live on the Sunday on New Japan World for people in Japan, but will be shown on Access TV, at least in America, the following Friday, is it the 7th? Yeah, because if Scene is coming back on Tuesday the 4th, and it will be the 7th.
Right.
So yeah, keep an eye keep an eye on Access TV if you haven't already over the next few weeks. Not only because the live show's in a few weeks, but because you're getting Dominion for free in full, as well as this weekend with Okada and Shibata. I'm guessing that means you might be getting who was after Okada? I guess Farley possibly the following show.
It's possible.
The following week, because if we're building to Dominion, Farley was the next one. So anyway, New Japan is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it
Take
is.
note, WWE.
New Japan World will very soon be a purchase of mine if everything continues financially how it has been.
That G1. When we know the brackets for that G1 next week, I think you'll be trying to work out whether you can get the 999 yen.
Yes.
Just for the month, if that, because of what's coming up.
Well, I mean, we're going to move from New Japan now into our next point, and that is going to be news and results. I want to start off with an announcement that was made recently about some of the participants that are going to be involved in the Mae Young Classic.
Oh, we've actually got some names. Nice.
Yes. And if I butcher names, my apologies. We have Tainara Melo, a Brazilian black belt. Victoria Gonzalez, who is the daughter of Rudy Boy. Kimberly, Julia Ho, Danielle Camella.
Ho.
Yeah.
Who's Julia Ho?
She was a Kendrick trainee that also is a Canadian model and a MMA fighter.
Oh, so Kimberly's the only one I give a shit about so far. Next.
Sarah Logan, which of course is the one I care about the most.
Is that Mary?
That is Crazy Mary. Yes, it is. There's even more than that, which is funny because there's even more names than that are not listed anywhere. So I'm trying to see if I can get a better list here because I have a better one than that. Because the list I had is a little bit different. Mary Kate, former Rosie Lotta Love. We also have Bianca Blair. I don't know why the list I saw hours ago is not showing up anywhere. Because I saw a couple more names that are not listed here. Like, oh, I don't know. Nixon Newell was on that list.
I think she's already professed her love of bloody Mae Young.
It'd be wonderful if I could find the whole thing. The whole list isn't out yet, but it will be. I think there's about 19 names that are listed currently.
Also Chao Chi. Who's
Correct.
One of the Chinese women that's signed up recently to the Performance Center.
Right.
She better be cannon fodder.
So it's great because I found a list earlier today, and now I can't find it now that we're live.
Okay, so this Mae Young thing must be taping it because I didn't realize until looking at it. They're doing the show Thursday and Friday, so it wouldn't make sense on doing it when they did.
Okay, we've got Evie, Demi Bennett,
Don't recognize that. I know Evie though.
Hojo is on the list.
Hojo,
Taya Trinidad, and a very interesting one, Mia Yim and Marty Bell.
hey, fuck
Now,
yeah!
yeah, these are all, as of this moment, they have not been completely confirmed by WWE. That's what P. Windsor has got for the lineup.
Oh, it's also worth noting because I just remembered relating to New Japan. Once again, but going back to being the elite, they were doing interviews in the ring. I guess on Saturday.
All right.
To hype up the matches, or it might have been Thursday or Friday afternoon before the actual show in the evening. And bloody bloody Romero and Beretta were like, oh, you know, we're ready to take them on, saying stuff in Japan. You want some other passion? You want me to say something else? FTR. Fuck that. And then bloody
I saw that. That's
like,
hilarious.
no, you can't say that. You can't swear. Like, my bad. And Matt and Nick are like, he said fuck the revival? What? What? Like
It's great.
I think they did that just because Cody wasn't in the stuff.
Probably.
He certainly didn't directly go fuck the revival because he was more like, who's Flip Gordon?
Yeah. Poor Flip Gordon.
And the return of, where do you think you're going?
Exactly.
Oh. Uh-oh. Breaking news.
Oh, God.
Well, it didn't get what everybody thought it was going to get. But the 60-minute draw just got 6.25 stars.
Oh, my God. I didn't know about the quarter. That's great.
Yes. Not even 6. It's 6.25. It is the highest rating ever. Sorry, Misawa. I know you died on this or on this week like 9 years ago. Your record's gone, son. Bye.
Gee, Chris.
Wow.
That's a thing.
Yeah, that happened.
I don't have breaking news, but I do have some news. Slammiversary VIP packages are currently available on sale at shoptna.com and impactwrestling.com. You're going to get through July 1st all the way up until the 6th. The VIP experience is $199. Fan interaction from 9 to 3 with autographed 8x10s and pictures with the stars of fan interaction. $10 off. See, here's the intriguing one, Ashley. A $10 coupon to score merchandise at the Shop Impact stand. So you're telling me with this, we're going to have a merch stand at Slammiversary.
Wow.
Well, I'm finally going to be buying some TNA merch this time around. I'm not a fan of the term team, but I will support Cherry Bomb, so I will probably be buying one of the Alley shirts. You get a DVD of Slammiversary, a credential to get your place in line at Slammiversary, and all the Impact tapings. First admission to Slammiversary and the tapings, and there's actually going to be an this is ironic to me, a party in the park. So Revenge of the Mummy is going to be open for guests from 11:30 until 1 a.m. on Sunday night, right after Slammiversary is completed. The travel package is a 4-night hotel stay, checking in June 30th until July 4th. Friday night welcome reception, a breakfast Sunday morning, and a welcome gift bag. Single occupancy is $899, double occupancy $699, triple is $599, and quadruple occupancy is $499. Each fan is limited to 1 post photo and 2 autographed items per person. The 8x10 counts as one of the items. Not valid at shoptimpact.com, and the coupon for the DVD of Slammiversary is redeemed at the merchandise stand, but it doesn't specify which year. Talent and details subject to change. More information, shopimpact.com. Marcus Bagwell is retiring. You heard this yet?
Yeah, the retirement tour is on its way.
Yeah, it's coming. It's going to be running until 2018. Basically, he wants to retire before he's no longer in buff form. So I understand that. Buff's a good guy. I've worked several shows with him. Always nice, very respectful. I'm glad to see that he's going to be able to hang it up on his own terms. That's always a good thing.
Okay, so this is they released this even before the newsletters exist.
Better.
After the January 4th match, which was one of the best matches I've ever seen, this is obviously me quoting Dave.
Of course.
I watched the Misawa versus Kawada match from '94 again, which many people called the best match ever. Obviously, that's a subjective subject, and there's tons of matches that could fit into that category. But more people I know will say Misawa versus Kawada than any other. I'd say the two were comparable, but were different. Misawa and Kawada was more of a fight and more heated, like an incredible sports contest. But Omega and Okada was more spectacular when it came to moves, as obviously we're 23 years later, but every bit as dramatic, which was ultimately the goal. What I can say is, while the Dominion match was not as heated as either of them, it was more intense, featured better selling, had more drama, and told a much better story than either. Everyone's entitled to their opinion on the greatest match they've ever seen. This was better than those two matches that I thought were the best ones I'd ever seen. It was the two best wrestlers in the world at this point in time, both in the best match of their lives. We're seeing history with this Okada championship run and this Omega versus Okada program. This is the modern version of the 1989 Flair Steamboat series, which consisted of 3 major national shows. They also did dozens of house shows matches, much of which weren't close to the level, at least one of which was above the level of the 3 national matches, which is something Omega and Okada didn't do. Omega and Okada are right now scheduled for 3 matches this year, and after 2, they are well ahead in comparison, even factoring the time and place elements. I don't know how you could top it, except someday, like everything, it will happen. 6.25 stars.
I'm not surprised one bit.
So I'm just looking at the actual newsletter because somebody might have put it somewhere. In terms of the poll, 579 thumbs up, 0 thumbs down, 1 thumb in the middle. One person had to ruin it.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Apparently. And the lead, wow, that shows you how quickly this has been written. The lead story is Mayweather and McGregor. So I might have to quickly scout through that to look for the news to go with whatever. But there are some other bits to talk about as well. The interesting one, Defy Wrestling, up in Seattle, that technically now have the CZW champion. They decided to do a deal with the Crash, from Mexico. So yeah, Conan said, quote in the press release, working together with Defy is a win-win for the fans and the wrestlers. Both fan bases get to see each other's promotions' talents. Our goal is for independent promotions to start working with instead of against each other and take advantage of the cross-pollination that's prevalent in the indie scene. We look forward to working with Defy. Apparently, the dates for the Crash events will be begun to announce next week. It should be interesting. Also, there was some weird stuff happening in the UK things at the Download Festival. So the match between Ruby Riott and Asuka had to be stopped because Riott got busted open. Interestingly, of course, WWE posted that she's ready to rock. Hey, you get it? No, I don't either. Also, Mandrews' band was playing at the Download Festival, and Pete Dunne attacked him to hype up the match that they had. And the great thing is, after attack, Andrews did a flip dive off the stage onto Dunne. It is worth noting, though, that basically he fucked himself up. They noted that basically he got taken to hospital and whatever, just for precautions, but
Right.
he is all right, thankfully. Also, Bianca Belair and Kenneth Crawford have got engaged over the weekend, as have Taya Valkyrie and Johnny Mundo. So congrats to both of them. Renee Young is not in the new season of Total Divas, as unsurprisingly is Eva Marie. She's officially been written out. Netflix Glow series has been made available to a lot of the TV reviewers and is getting very positive reviews so far. Entertainment Weekly giving it an A, and Uproxx, Alan Sepinwall from Uproxx giving saying that the first episode is very promising. Impact's doing a special ceremony on July the 3rd, after Slammiversary, to honor those affected by the nightclub attack. So a nice little touch there. Oh yeah, this one. So, Bray Wyatt's wife filed for the divorce. Apparently, she's alleging that Bray's been having an affair with JoJo. She fucked up Randy Orton's marriage. She's a marriage wrecker. She's a marriage wrecker. Jesus. JoJo's just fucking everybody over. Paige is basically getting her last x-rays after neck surgery, so she might be back soon. Oh wow. Looking into this because it's actually in the newsletter for this week. She's being represented by the lawyer who represented Linda Hogan. Ooh. Apparently, Bray attempted to get an injunction to keep his wife quiet about the split and claims she made defamatory remarks about him to people in the community to ruin his reputation. Well, that's awkward. Weirdly, WWE's put money into the Drone Racing League. So that's a thing. Mike, the Miz and Maurice have put their mansion up for sale. Oh, and interestingly, Bate, Seven, Don Andrews, and Wolfgang have all been or expected to be offered new 3-year deals at a higher price than the $20,000 a year that they did have. It seems. They originally booked monthly TV tapings, but nothing's been announced since. And because the ITV things collapsed, perhaps there won't be any UK shows. Hey, God damn it. Ugh. Oh, also, other names that are in, according to, again, Dave, in the new thing, also for the Mae Young Classic, although not confirmed, names that have been talked about include Toni Storm and Tessa Blanchard. So we'll have to see what happens there. Oh, and apparently Jim Ross wants to call the Lesnar versus Joe match. Interestingly. Which, of course, means that in the space of 10 days, he's covering Dominion, both the New Japan shows, and possibly Lesnar versus Samoa Joe. What? That just seems incredible. Oh, I've actually got fresh notes. I'll go to them in a minute. The Raw ratings were absolutely shit. They started off with a 2.77, so it didn't do too bad for the opening, but the second hour got an average of 2.52, and it was 2.34 for the final hour, which was, pretty atrocious. By the way, the Warriors Cavaliers game got 24.47. I think it won by about 90%. That's the second lowest show in history, at least in terms of the modern Raw era, since the Trump-Clinton debate. And that's it. Also, King of Trios has a new house that's been announced, and it's the House of Throwbacks, except it's interesting because we got Dasha Hatfield, we got Mark Angelisetti, but their third partner is Simon Grimm. So I might be seeing him in a couple of months in Wolverhampton. Oh, it's also worth noting the Kushida Ospreay Super Juniors match that we talked about. last week. 5 stars. So that's probably worth watching as well, not just a 6 1/4. So quickly going through the other news from last week. Dorian Roldan's allegedly saying that Triple Mania is 80% sold out. Which, if that's true, that means about 14,000 tickets, which is impressive for Mexico, because obviously Mexico is normally they just walk up, they don't pre-book tickets or whatever. They've also hinted that they'll be honoring the history by bringing back stars of the past. Then again, they did that for, I think it was a couple of years back, the Psycho Circus taking on the Villanos, which was one of the worst matches that I've seen from Mexico. She's probably not saying much. In terms of the health of the Japan guys, Honma's continuing to improve. While he can lightly jog, there's hand coordination issues that he still needs help with, and still needs assistance such as pouring water or brushing his teeth. In terms of Shibata, he's in good spirits. While he'll probably never wrestle again, there are talks of him staying with the company and working as a full-time coach for the young boys and all that. So it looks as if Maryland, Kentucky, and Virginia are the only 3 states that Josh Barnett and Tom Lawler can't do pro wrestling in. Apparently they won't allow it. So I don't know what that is. Did we mention the TNA house show, by the way?
Haven't mentioned it yet.
So that's coming at the Staten Island Yankee Stadium on the 5th of August, I believe. That's their first house show in nearly 2 years. And apparently they are going to be doing a series of shows in the summer, I guess, after the Slammiversary tapings and whatever. Did you hear about what happened with the bloody Impact tapings in India?
Yeah, they paid their audience.
Yeah. Admittedly, it was only sort of between $4 and $8 per person to attend. So obviously probably wouldn't have been much of an outlay, but still, it's like rather than charge for people to attend, they paid the people. And they stage managed it, the shit out of it, and they loved it apparently. A quick look. That's all rating stuff, really. Right now, the plan for the Ric Flair 30 for 30 piece is for it to run in January 2018. But that has changed about quite a few times. There's now an idea to get Woman from the main roster on 205 Live more to try and boost interest in the show. No. That isn't how you solve the problem. God almighty. Apparently Charlotte missed the house show in Connecticut last week because she was in Vancouver filming a non-WWE movie, which is something related to Psych, apparently. So I don't know whether they're doing like a Psych special or something. So I don't know what's going on there. Axel Dieter Jr. is starting up soon at the Performance Center, along with Jessica Heiser, aka Kennedy Brink from Ring of Honor and other places. She's working as a referee. Also, D.A. Brewer, the referee for Evolve, and Fabian Eichner is starting very soon as well. There's the Taya Trinidad developmental deal that we talked about last week. Oh, okay. So the reason why Otunga wasn't on commentary, apparently because that was a day off from shooting. That's why he was on the panel rather than the commentary table. but it is reported that he will be back in a few weeks. The question is, everybody pretty much has said, both backstage and publicly, at least from our opinion, Booker's been better than Otunga. So is Otunga just going to be jobbed out to being on pre-shows and whatever? Let's fucking hope so. Wow, so the women's tournament, but they're going to tape everything but the finals over those 2 days, apparently. And then the finals will be live possibly after Smackdown in Vegas. Who knows? Tyler Bate was supposed to be on the UK tour, but because he scheduled a holiday, they let him actually go on holiday. That's surprising. It's also worth noting that Takashi Sugiura will be out for some time as he had to go under heart surgery. He's been suffering from heart rhythms and everything for 6 years, has been taking medicine for it. Suffering from dizziness in training of late, consulting with his doctor. They recommended surgery. The surgery is supposed to be happening sort of mid-July-ish, as the doctors want him to rest from all physical activity for 1 month before surgery. And the idea is that he should be able to return to the ring somewhere 3 months afterwards, so hopefully around mid-October-ish. So in terms of the stuff that's come through, that we already know, tickets for Money in the Bank are not sold out at the minute, which is probably because ringside seats are $1,000. Nothing's available for less than 50, and the secondary market starts at 53. There will also apparently be some sort of legend segment to the Money in the Bank show, because Ric Flair, Cowboy Bob Orton, Larry Hennig, Baron Von Raschke, and Greg Gagne are all confirmed as appearing on the show in some form, with the idea that they're former St. Louis stars, which is interesting because Larry Hennig never wrestled in St. Louis. So, okay. Strowman's close to being cleared from his stuff. WWE officials are saying that he hasn't been cleared, but, you know, who knows? Also, interestingly, Larry Matzik, who was the television announcer for Wrestling at the Chase, was contacted and was originally going to appear at his first live event in more than 20 years, but then got a call from Sue Aitchison, who said that Vince saw the name and immediately removed it, saying that his disability wouldn't allow it because the fire code wouldn't allow him into the building because he's got a power wheelchair. Which for a modern arena, I'd say that's, who knows. So perhaps it's just Vince being a bloody idiot again. Probably. Wow. So apparently Don Callis isn't even under contract to New Japan. Despite going from not knowing a thing about New Japan to, from what I've heard, being really good on the Dominion show. I mean, Owen, can you attest to that? Because I'm guessing you saw the US feed. Probably. Or did you not? Oh, Owen's gone. The NWA deal with Billy Corgan remains in a weird state. Apparently, Corgan does have a signed deal with Bruce Tharp, and they are aware of all the trademark issues and everything, but money hasn't changed hands. So who knows? Jesse Ventura is working for Russian Today. Wow. If he's on there, I might watch that for some reason. So even though Matt Riddle is under contract to WWE and he's been given July 7th, 8th, and 9th weekend off that he was booked on because Rev Pro offered him a match with Ishii in the UK. And obviously that's important because New Japan must be considering using him. and WWN didn't want him to stand in his way, so they let him go. That's that. Oh, wow. PJ Black suffered a terrible injury base jumping this week. Suffered a broken leg, a broken hand, and lost a finger. Holy shit. Get well soon, PJ, definitely. Vampiro now has a booking page up for promoters to book all Lucha Underground talent through him at vampirotv.com. The thing is, two of the people listed are Kari Hojo and Io Shirai, as well as Prince Puma. Prince Puma hasn't been with Lucha Underground in months, and obviously the other two are sort of in the E anyway. Oh, and regarding Ricochet in WWE, the contract states he can't go there until 6 months after his last appearance on television. So they could relax it, but who knows? So if that's the case, you won't be seeing him until at least around WrestleMania time, if we're going on the 6 stuff. Dom West is going to be part of Slammiversary weekend. There are rumors that they're going to get Tenay in as well. I'm guessing that's for the
fan interaction.
Yeah, but there are rumors about Slammiversary as well, with him doing commentary because of the Borash and Josh Matthews match.
That would make me so happy. You know how badly I want to see Don West in person?
And a breaking news!
And I want to, obviously I won't be able to hear Mike today because obviously I'll be there, but it's still.
There is talk of doing Triple H versus Kurt Angle for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more than just talk.
Well, it just says there's a lot of talk. And Io Shirai is... There's no that planned date for when she's coming to the E. She's finishing off her commitments with Stardom first. Interestingly, the most watched thing on the network this week was Reborn by Fate, which is the Hardys interview. Apparently. Uh, 205 Live got to number 10, which is last week's one, not this week's. Talking Smack got 16th. For some reason, people still like to watch Bring It to the Table for some bizarre fucking reason. Anyway. I think that's all the news. That's including this week, so we don't have to bother about that next week now.
Nice.
We've got it all covered. In terms of results, there is some actual update from Dragon Gate Japan, even though I didn't know what the hell was going on with the tournament, the King of Gate thing. Turns out they had the finals in Fukuoka, and T-Hawk won it, beating Rookie Doi with the Night Ride. It's unclear whether he's challenging in November or whether it's before then, because I'm not sure when the King of the Gate winner cashes in. You know, I guess it's like Wrestle Kingdom in that sense. Not sure. So next we come to Smash Wrestling, Gold, the big show for them. So the semi-finals, as in the first round matches, to go into the 5-way elimination. It was Tarek beating Leo Rush, Kevin Bennett defeating Brent Banks, Sebastian Suave beat John Greed, Mark Haskins beat Dalton Castle, and Evil Uno defeated Scotty O'Shea. Then Tabernacle Team beat Halal Beefcake in non-tournament action, and Tyson Dukes retained the Smash Wrestling title over Mike Rollins and Pepper Parks. And then in the 5-way eliminator, it was Mark Haskins that came out on top over Suave and Tarek and Bennett and Uno. So I think that means Haskins gets a Smash Wrestling title shot. I don't know if it's a time of his choosing or somewhere down the line, another show. I can't remember. So next up, Shikara's Hyde. Kembai beat Kobold. Kobold with his Oleg t-shirt and apparently is the president of the Oleg fan club still. So I don't know what's going on there. Hermit Crab and Cajun Crawdad beat the Throwbacks. Which is interesting because apparently, basically, the Throwbacks cut a promo about Hermit Crab has beaten Dasher twice, and the Hermit Crab said that Dasher was the weak link of the group. So, whatever that is. So then Quack came out and said that 1 year ago he wrestled in Johnny Kidd's retirement match, but felt he wanted to do more to honor him. So this Sunday is the Johnny Kidd Invitational. We'll get onto that because that's a very interesting lineup. Silverhawk beat Cornelius Crummels to retain the Young Lions Cup. Frightmare beat Silver Ant. Now this is interesting. So midway through the match, Frightmare ripped off one of Silver's antennae, taunted him about how he crippled Soldier Ant the same way. And Silver did all these tribute spots and everything, doing Soldier's moves and whatever. But Frightmare got the other antenna and curled him up into a ball and left him not moving, and Frightmare hit narcolepsy. So antennas have been pulled once again. Ophidian, Fire Ant, Huckabee, and Darling beat Chuck Taylor, Dustin, and Los Ice Creams. Then we had an interesting bit with Whisper and Ophidian. So Ophidian was blocked by the Snow Troll, and Whisper and Mortimer came out. And Whisper spoke about how everyone had secrets and Ophidian's no different. And Ophidian wound up with a mask in his hands and freaked out, which looked to be a Massis' mask. So who knows what's going on there. And then Juan Francisco de Coronado beat Oberian to retain the Grand Championship. And then in the main event, in the encore, Officer Warren Barksdale and Des Peloton beat Rick Rowland, The Whisper, and Sonny Defarge. So next up, the Break the Barrier Pro Wrestling Festival Powerbomb TV thing. The really confusing thing for this is that the live stream wasn't ready for when it was started, so they started on Periscope. Jeez. And apparently there's a beautiful gold championship belt. The pre-show had CPA, Tyler Murphy, Mike Skaros, and Jacob Riddicks beating Mick Moretti, Pat Scott, Kevin Cartwright, and Sully O'Sullivan. Then, of course, then before the show was actually starting, they were being very interactive with people watching on Twitter. So it was sort of wasn't great. Bryce did the best that he could with what he got. And Carolina Jim goes off to be ring announcer. So they start off with the Grand Slam wrestling stuff. Brute Van Slyke retaining his belt over the Cinema Steve Shields. Then Beyond Wrestling's match had John Silver beat Tracy Williams. The Anything Goes match from C4 Wrestling. Joey Janela beat Bucks Belmar with apparently a Death Alley driver onto the apron. Wow. Penelope Ford beat Renee Michelle for the women's wrestling revolution match. With Ophidian and Deshaun Pratt, it got very interesting and very violent to some extent because Deshaun caught Ophidian with a kick to the balls and then hit him with a flipping DDT for a table, which Ophidian then lay upon, and Pratt connected with a 450 and won. So is this going to get spun into an angle now? Who knows? Especially because if the mask thing happened in Chikara. Oldie Wrestling had Jeff King beating Dasher Hatfield. The great thing about this is they turned the camera feed apparently black and white and put hay bales in each corner for the guys to sit upon. So, yeah, that's a bit crazy. Then from New South Wrestling, the Carnies beat the Monarchy. El Felino and Puma King beat Guerrero Maya and Skyod. Colt Cabana beat Orange Cassidy after the orange juice. Basically used in an unsuccessful manner, I guess. And then the main event, which I think was for the gold belt possibly, Fly Warrior won. And then afterwards, Jonathan Gresham posed with the gold belt and unmasked Fly Warrior as well. So I guess he's heel. From what I've heard, it was a pretty good show, even though the technical issues that they did have. So we'll see if it gets any more shows down the line. Worth mentioning in Tier 1 Wrestling, we had a title change. So Darius Carter beat ACH earlier on in the night, and then in the next match, Homicide beat JT Dunn, but Darius Carter attacked Homicide. So the commissioner set up another title match for later on in the night, which was against Mike Werner, who previously early on the night retained the Tier 1 tag belts with his partner Stockade against Lufisto and Jordan Grace of Team PAWG. And yeah, Werner won, so he's both one half of the tag champs and the world champ. A bit crazy shit going on there. Also, IWC, I'm not sure, is that, I don't know which promotion that is, because there's quite a few IWCs. Adam Cole won the Super Indie 16 tournament, which he beat Zema Ion in the quarterfinals, Joey Janela in the semifinals, and then Jonathan Gresham in the final. The tournament also had Jay White, Colt Cabana, Chris LaRusso, and Mike Orlando in it as well. So pretty impressive, I'd argue. And then CZW's Tournament of Death. So we opened up with the Light Tubes and Cinder Blocks match with Jeff Cannonball beating G Raver. Connor Claxton beat Clint Marvera in the barbed wire craziness death match, including a barbed wire trampoline. Nice. The Doorway to Death match. Masada beat Schlack. The crazy thing is, Schlack set his elbow on fire and wanted to show everybody a true flaming elbow drop from a top rope. Okay. And then in the Pains in the Glass match, Jimmy Havoc beat John Wayne Murdoch and Ricky Shane Page after a Canadian destroyer from the top rope for a glass disc. from John Wayne Murdoch. So he stole the pin, basically, Havoc did. Then in the four corners, a pain match. Dan O'Hare beat Jimmy Lloyd, George Gatton, and Kit Osborne after a slam for a burning door. Also, Dan O'Hare put a shaving trimmer against Jimmy Lloyd, so don't happen there. Then we had the Summertime Fun Death match with Connor Claxton beating Jeff Cannonball to go to the final. And then the other final, Jimmy Havoc beat Masada in the Light Tube's Treachery, whatever that is. Matthew Tremont beat Madman Pondo in the Fans Bring the Weapons match. So then we had the Scaffold Death match. Nation of Intoxication of More and Blood taking on Danny Havoc and his mystery partner, Alex Colon. So he's back. So Devon actually injured himself with a dive from the scaffolding, a very nasty thing to the ankle. So Devon Moore got replaced by Kit Osborne. So they did a switch on the fly because of it. And there was also Alex Colon doing a Spanish fly onto Drew Blood from a scaffold to chairs and a barbed wire wrap board as well. But then afterwards, Danny Havoc wanted to announce his resignation. But Alex Colon interrupted him and said that he owes him a final death match. So in September, at Down with the Sickness, the Chris Cash Memorial Show, Danny Havoc has his last match against Alex Colon. And then in the No Ropes, No Canvas, Barbed Wire, Light Tube Death match, Jimmy Havoc beat Connor Claxton after an acid rainmaker followed by a curb stomp. Jimmy Havoc is Tournament of Death champion. What a crazy year it's been for that boy. So in terms of what's coming up this weekend, I can't really say you should go to this show because from what I can tell, everything's sold out for this. But Preston City Wrestling's having a free show in the afternoon at Club Domain in Blackpool. And then they're also having a free show at the Blackpool Tower itself. In terms of matches, Jimmy Havoc's taking on T-Bone in a street fight this Saturday. Yastin Reese issues an open challenge for the Preston City Wrestling title. The Cruiserweight title is also on the line with Ashton Smith versus Dean Allmark. Also another match of note, Saraya Knights back in action, teaming up with Lucy Cole to take on Christy James and Shotzi Blackheart. There are other matches on the card as well, but because of time, I'm going to go just skip some of them. Southside Wrestling is back for the Limitless Mile in Bedford this week. Bubblegum defends the Speed King title, against Davey Richards. And then there's a very interesting Iron Man match between Hornswoggle and Alex Gracie. The interesting thing about it is that it's 7 minutes and 34 seconds long. So that's a pretty impressive Iron Man match, I would argue. There's also an interesting one with Ricky Knight Jr., who is the youngest member of the Knight family. Ashley Dunn, Chris Flynn, a.k.a. Blake, and Adam Maxted in a four-way. Whoever wins gets a £10,000 one-year contract with Southside Wrestling. Ashley Dunn is a local kid from Bedford, which is where the show's taking place, that came to see Ospreay at a Southside show in the same venue and now might be facing him depending on how stuff goes in the next 12 months. And obviously Maxted's wrestled on shows since debuting in August, and Blake's commentated for the last couple of years, but wants to prove that he can wrestle as well, which is nice. Destiny Wrestling has got not one but two shows this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday. Both involving special guest Pete Dunne. The TV tapings are going to be on the Saturday at the Battle Arts Academy in Mississauga, Ontario. featuring Pete Dunne, Josh Alexander challenging Mike Rollins for his Destiny World title in the main event of that, certainly. And then there's also a show in Montreal on Sunday evening. Ban Mathieu is the name of the place. 2915 in Montreal, Quebec. 2915 Ontario Estate, I guess. In Montreal, Quebec. Certainly you can get more details on Destiny's Facebook page, Destiny Wrestling, if you search for that. You'll be able to get it. In terms of the card, the only match that I can see is Pete Dunne and Psycho Mike and Black Dynamite. There are some other ones as well, I think, set to happen. Santino's supposed to be part of the show as well, apparently. Also happening Saturday, the Lucha Fest from Lucha in the 6, Lucha Toronto, at 214 Augusta Avenue in Toronto, Ontario. I guess the big match on that one will be Chris Dickinson taking on Serpentico. But there's other matches as well. Again, search for Lucha in the 6 or Lucha TO for more on that. C4 Wrestling, Crossing the Line 10 Inferno, the usual home, the Vernier Columbus Club in Ottawa, Ontario. With this one, we got Cecil Nix versus Bastien Suave, Space Monkey versus Yaka, Matt Angel versus Tyson Dukes, a 4-corner scramble with Vassar, Brute Van Slyke, Chain Saber, and Evil Uno. Kobe Durst defends the Underground title against Vanessa Craven. Fight or Flight defend their tag belts against LAX of, EYFBO and High and Mighty. Bucks Belmar one-on-one with Ethan Page in the main event, the freeway dance, no DQ, no count out, 1-4 to a finish, with Matthew St. Jack defending the C4 title against Stu Grayson and Thomas Dubois. Both the tag partners. All the tag partners. Alpha One are also having a show this weekend. Do or do not. There is no try. Yeah, you can guess it's Star Wars related. In Hamilton, Ontario at 222 Queenston Road, the usual home of Alpha One Wrestling. The big one there is the Virus taking on 2 guys of Ethan Page and Cody Rhodes for Virus's tag belts. Also with the Virus, Joey Kings is taking on Shane Saber in a tables match. Kobe Durst defends the Alpha Male title against Justin Sane. Eddie Kingston goes one-on-one with Ricky Shane Page. Space Monkey gets his shot at Alessandro Del Bruno's Zero Gravity title. And also Dominic Guarini takes on Eric Carney in a 2 out of 3 falls match with Guarini's title match contract on the line. Gregory Iron and Maxwell Jacob Freeman also set to be part of that show. So I'm guessing they're facing each other, probably. House of Hardcore is going crazy in Australia this weekend. So in terms of the schedule, this Friday, we've got the main event is the Young Bucks versus surprise former tag team champions. Spirit Squad, possibly, you think?
Could be.
Trying to think who they'd fly over. If they're in Australia, could it... Did the Bushwhackers ever have the belts, Owen? Do you know?
No.
Okay. I'm just trying to think who's tag team champions that may be in Australia. Jack Swagger versus Billy Gunn. A Brisbane street fight between Muhammad Ali Vaez and Tommy Dreamer. A triple threat with Matt Cross, Andy Phoenix, and Robbie Eagles as well. For the Sydney show on the Saturday, the Young Bucks face the Old Bucks, which is Tommy Dreamer and Billy Gunn. Muhammad Ali Vaez will take on Jack Swagger for this one. For the first time ever, it'll be MVP versus Matt Cross. And those surprise former WWE Tag Champs will issue an open challenge. I'm wondering whether the tag champs could be the Dudley Boys.
It's a good possibility.
Has Devon got a weekend off? Or is Devon scouting talent? And then the Perth show, they're facing former tag team champions again. I don't know if that's the same ones. Who knows? Mark Cometti with Aussie Dennis Cometti. I didn't soccer that much. Takes on Ryan Nemeth. Jack Swagger versus MVP. Matt Cross, Andy Phoenix, Tommy Dreamer in a triple threat, and Billy Gunn versus Muhammad Ali Vasquez. All set to be part of those shows as well that aren't in set matches for some reason are Bull James and Colt Cabana. Along with some other Aussie talents. Apparently the mystery champions are also going to be part of the show the next weekend, but obviously we won't mention it here. Although it is worth noting that the Bucks are only doing this weekend in Brisbane, Sydney, and Perth. So if you are nearby those areas, check them out. House of Hardcore normally has a pretty good show. And because it's got Young Bucks matches, it's probably going to be good just for that alone. So the Shikara newly just added Johnny Kidd Invitational. The thing to note is all fathers will be admitted free with a paying customer and in recognition of Father's Day. So a nice little touch there. So this tournament is a rather interesting one. So we got Travis Huckabee versus Rory Gulak. Yeah, that's Drew's brother, by the way, in case you don't know. James Mason takes on Juan Francisco de Coronado. James Mason, I think, is UK-based. Hallowicked versus Matt Riddle. He's going to be part of that. And then the interesting one, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Mike Quackenbush. Please tell me this is being live streamed, and if not, why not? Oh, I want to see that shit desperately. AAW this Saturday has Killers Among Us 2017. Tickets go from $20 to $50. I think there will be. You can get some on the AAW website, I think. If not, there should be some at the door if you want to get some. On this card, there's a four-way with Jake, Chris, Chuck Taylor, Paco, and Davey Vega. Garza Jr. one-on-one with ACH. There's a six-man tag with Myron Reed, Troy Miguel, and Stephen Wolf taking on Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier and Zima Ion. Zima's return from that big injury. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Matt Fitchett. Eddie Kingston one-on-one with Jeff Cobb. War Machine face Red Dragon. Abyss one-on-one with Loki. Brian Cage is taking on John Morrison. Hopefully he doesn't bring the glove. Holy shit. Penta defends the Heritage title against Trevor Lee, and Sami Callihan defends the AAW Heavyweight title against Michael Elgin. And then the most important show of the week. It's PWG time. So they've had to make some changes. Originally, we were supposed to be having Jason Cade versus Desmond Xavier, Jake Chris versus Trevor Lee, and the Chosen Bros of Cobb and Riddle taking on the best friends of Chuck and Trent. Matt Riddle's got pulled out the shows because of his commitments to WWN. They've got stuff this week, which I didn't make note of because it's only the FIP and like the style battle stuff. We'll certainly have results on it next week, no matter what. I didn't cover it because it's so soon after the other one. Plus, the week after is the Evolve shows, which are probably more attention anyway. But you can see Matt Riddle on Flow Slam, as well as apparently Shikara this weekend. So you're sorted in that sense. So because of Matt Riddle not being there, they adjusted the card around. So it'll be Trent one-on-one with Jeff Cobb now, Chuck Taylor one-on-one with Trevor Lee, and Jake Chris gets added into the Xavier Cade match, so it becomes a triple threat. The other matches, which aren't affected, has Keith Lee versus Leo Rush, War Machine take on the Unbreakable fucking Machines, Matt Sydal one-on-one with Sami Callihan, and the main event sees Sabre and Skull versus Red Dragon of Fish and O'Reilly. And I think that's all.
All right.
We might be done in 4 hours.
God. And I have to be.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. I don't even know whether the video I sent to Owen had sound. Hopefully he didn't put it up.
That's up. Of course it is.
Quick to the internet.
That's your show. Ashley, where can we find you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at Ash is my name UK. More E3 stuff will be coming over the upcoming days.
Sounds good. Follow us on Twitter at Popcast Network. Follow me on Twitter at Siro and Disney. Check out our Facebook fan page at Popcast Network, Zazzle merch, and our Patreon, all available at Popcast Network. So, Sip and Snack going to be continuing our soda theme and our PepsiCo theme this week. AJ takes over the weekend once more in the newest episode of Fargo. We're nearing the end of the new season. Saturday, AJ's movie reviews of the best rated film of 2017 so far. And on Sunday, we pay tribute to the late, great Adam West with a very special verses. And then Sunday night, we're back here for Money in the Bank after the pay-per-view is concluded. Same with Raw after Raw is concluded on Monday. And we'll be back here next Wednesday at 9 p.m. for the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast. Sorry for the technical issues tonight. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. As always, in a world where there are a billion wrestling podcasts, we're very pleased that once more you've chosen a podcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
Well, we know what Owen's doing in terms of pulling the thing because the mic wasn't working.
Maybe.